Hello, everyone. And based on popular demand, we had to immediately go live once again to bring you the latest news on this hard fork and the current trading frenzy that is going on, mostly brought to us by HitBTC, and we will talk more about that in a minute. Joining us to kick off the show is, of course, Jimmy Song, just as a continuation from yesterday, and the mastermind of the World Crypto Network, MadBitcoins, Thomas Hunt. Go ahead, Jimmy, just do a quick intro and we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get enough of the torture that I experienced yesterday. Well, not torture. No, it was a lot of fun. And we did see a lot on Twitter that you guys wanted us to continue, and some people were complaining, like, "Where's my World Crypto Network at in the evening?" So we are here to tell you about what's happening on the network on both chains, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and we'll talk about some of the stuff. I am going to be reviewing Electron Cash at the same time while I do this. So if you guys are interested, and I have questions. I mean, hopefully you can get maybe some Electron developers or Electrum developers to watch the show or something. But anyway, that's what I'm here for. I am literally looking at the diff between Electrum and Electron Cash during the show.
And I'm still trying to get my BCH to move to HitBTC. Like a lot of you, I went with the hard way of having my Bitcoin in cold storage. And then now I have to transfer my BCH to an exchange. And if I'm lucky, I'll trade them in for a free laptop. If I'm not lucky, maybe a free tablet. Otherwise, maybe I could get a bag of peanuts. Tone, what do you think? I've seen the price at around 300.
Right. Well, before we get to the price, we're going to keep people in suspense on the price for a minute. I want to talk about what you just said. You were able to separate your are we calling it BCC or are we calling it BCH? I don't even know.
I like BCH because it's more like Bish.
Okay.
Well, BCC is already taken. We should really...
No, it's not. On HitBTC, and I'll share screen.
There is a coin called BitConnect, and they crashed around 20% yesterday because their symbol is the same.
No, I understand that, but here it is. Here's the view of HitBTC, and they are using the BCC symbol because HitBTC does not have the BitConnect coin on there, so they were able to use the BCC ticker. And this is hilarious because this is so Bitcoin that different exchanges are now using different tickers to represent the same thing.
Awesome.
And it's destroying whatever BitConnect is.
And we are now joined by Richard Hart. Please introduce yourself, Richard. I watched you on Vortex's show, Bitcoin News, and I thought you did an awesome job. So thank you for coming on and helping us with this commentary. Oh, still muted.
Yeah. How's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep. You're all set.
Sweet. Yeah. Richard Hart, youtube.com/Richard Hart. Richard Hart win on Twitter. I had to add the win. It's what happens when you get into Twitter eight years later, whatever. What did I miss? What have you guys been talking about?
Oh, nothing. We're just started. We're just literally, we're just bringing up the fact that not even like the Bitcoin space can figure out what ticker to trade this thing under. HitBTC is where all the action is now taking place, and we're going to talk about why that is. HitBTC is using the BCC, right there. So HitBTC is using the BCC ticker, while most other exchanges can't use the BCC ticker because BCC is actually BitConnect. And God knows where the hell that is because everyone started selling BitConnect, which is hilarious in its own right. So it looks like BitConnect is back up a little bit. So some exchanges are using BCC, some exchanges are using BCH. And to me, that's kind of funny coming from a traditional trading world because people are usually know what the hell they're doing.
All right. Can I bring up a question? Maybe we could chat on it.
Of course.
I think it's the most important question. So if I had to guess the value of a new altcoin, I would compare it to the other altcoins. And if I had to compare it to something that's nearly identical to Bitcoin, I would compare it to Litecoin because it was one of the first and definitely the most successful Bitcoin fork. and it looks like it trades at what, less than 5%. I think it's 2.2 billion and Bitcoin's 44. So if you want to do that math, I think it's pretty low percent.
Yeah, correct. Litecoin is trading at a market cap of 2 billion with a price of 42. But there are more Litecoin out there. So actually, if you
I'm just dividing by the market caps. It accounts for the M2, the money supply. The math works out. So Litecoin currently trades at 5% of Bitcoin, and I think it got a bump from the drama of the scaling debate. So it probably would trade at less than 5%. So like, for instance, what happened yesterday was everyone was trading on BitMEX because it was the only place you could, affordably place your shorts because of the 100x leverage. However, everyone else was going long on Kraken and other places because you would get BCC while you had your money in those accounts. And so everyone was long Kraken and everyone was short Bitfinex. And the problem was that short BitMEX. And the problem was that it drove the BitMEX price $140 out of sync with the Bitcoin price. So you could go long for $140 cheaper on BitMEX than you could anywhere else. And then the question was, is this a discount? Is this a good deal? Or is BitMEX going to come up to the other exchanges? Or the other exchange is going to come down to BitMEX? And I think that what happened was that the 140 was low, and the market did come up to those other larger exchanges. And so if that same situation that occurred in BitMEX is occurring now on the only place that you can successfully deposit, not already on exchange BCC amounts, then their undervalued price should come up. So there's a good chance that if you could buy coins at 0.08 on an exchange that accepts deposits, and I guess if you're buying, you could deposit whatever you want. You don't really, if they're trading the Bitcoin BCC pair, then you don't have to put in BCC. You can put in Bitcoin. So if you can buy it at exchange for 0.8, and then everywhere else that already has volume and already has price discovery is at like 0.23, which
right, but you can't move it, Rich. But you can't move it there. That's the problem, right? Like Kraken and via BTC, they're not accepting Bitcoin cash deposits, and this is the problem.
But they don't have to, because there's already so much on the exchange. So pre-August 1, anyone that was going to have a Bitcoin already had it, and tons of those were on exchange, which is why you saw a guy go 20,000 BTC short and then just claim it and not affect the price. So 20,000 BTC of short order book disappeared because a guy clicked claim instead of having to place market orders and just claimed against himself on Finex. And then it didn't affect the price. It didn't move the price at all. So all those guys, like that guy that had 20,000 BTC on exchange, he already has 20,000 BCC to fuck around with.
Right, but there's nothing. Right, but there's nothing he can do with it, right? Like if he sells the BCC, if he sells that BCC on Kraken for a higher price, they're not letting him withdraw the Bitcoin. That's the problem. Because
you can withdraw the Bitcoin.
No, you can't. It's getting locked up because.
No, but you could buy Litecoin and exchange that and just leave with Litecoin.
No. As far as I understand it, I mean, people are smart. They would have done that. They're locking it up because they have no idea if a reorg is coming. They cannot let people withdraw their gains in Bitcoin or altcoins from selling their BCC, because what if another block of BCC is never mined and then the exchange is screwed?
No. You here's your trade. You buy it cheap at 0.07. You sell it at 0.23. You now have IOUs on an exchange that you can trade for Litecoin and then get out of the exchange and you're done. So it doesn't matter what, like you don't ever actually need to deposit or go to a blockchain except to make your one deposit on the cheap place of Bitcoin, which currently works. And then you remove, you have to wait for blocks. So if you buy cheap BCC, you do have to wait for blocks.
Right, and also, like, everybody would be doing that. I mean, there's no if what you say was possible, there is no way the price of BCC would be twice as much on Kraken right now as it is on on where are we here? Hit BTC. I mean, it's literally a 50% arbitrage play. And if it was that simple to simply sell your BCC on Kraken, Bitcoin confirmations are still every 10 minutes. That hasn't changed. I have that right here, though it has been 24 minutes since the last one. But if it was that simple, everybody would be moving their BCC into Hit BTC right now. But the thing is, the mempool isn't even going up. Like the last block took 12 hours to mine. The block after this is going to take another 12 hours or so. This is why we're keeping an eye on everything.
Hey, Tone. Yeah, there's been ever since that like giant block that was over 4 megabytes, there's been 3 blocks found. So
there has.
Yeah, there's been a lot of blocks found. And one of them was with the Hennessy Road people. Yeah, you could refresh this, then there are 3 more. Yeah, the Hennessy Road people are back, at least for 1 block. And I published an article a little bit earlier talking about how there's going to be a difficulty adjustment that's going to happen in a few blocks, and it will continue for 6 blocks, and it will make it roughly a quarter of the difficulty it is now. So it's going to be much easier for miners to mine a lot of blocks. And once that happens, that will be roughly about 10-minute blocks, although that's a very rough estimate.
Interesting, because I'm like getting irate emails in my email box because someone is like, because they're like accusing me of having them lost money because a person leveraged, they leveraged a huge BCC sell position. I believe it was on Kraken or one of the other exchanges, and the price went up basically because BCC was not being accepted onto the exchange. And now they're like locked his whole shit up, like his Bitcoin collateral and his short position on BCC, and they're basically demanding that he make good on the collateral by either depositing more USD into the exchange or more Bitcoin. And it's ironic. He's like, well, why can't I deposit BCC to make good on the collateral? But they're not accepting BCC. So this is really messed up. The person blames the exchange. But I also told people not to chase this carrot for this reason. And then we're also going to talk about some horror stories where things went horribly wrong trying to separate BCC from BTC on your own. I kind of left it open there if anyone wants.
Maybe we want to talk about that horror story in a little bit. But yeah, that there was somebody that donated what looked like was a 2 Bitcoin donation to our channel. It turned out that person was actually trying to transfer their Bitcoin from Electrum to another Electrum wallet so they can separate their Bitcoin Cash. And they wrote us an email and everything, and maybe we'll get to that in a bit. But basically, we asked them to prove that it was indeed that person, and they sufficiently proved it. So we sent the money back. It was like 2 Bitcoins, like $6,000 roughly. And that sort of thing happens when you're not being careful about what you're doing with your private keys. So yeah, that's yeah. You should note that cash.coin.dance earlier this morning, Tone asked that they put a timestamp on there. And if you go to that website again, they put the age. Check it out, Tone. So they
added it. Hey, maybe they're watching.
So yeah, you could see that there's a 13-hour gap between block 478570 and 478571.
I know. Thank you. So that means I can drop one of my 100 tabs right here because I only had this guy open for the timestamp. Sorry, Block Dozer Explorer, but you are no longer needed for the moment because cash.coins.dance hurt us.
Yeah, they did, and that's awesome because that will make it a lot easier for us to know what's going on with respect to like the blocks that are coming in. It does look like there's roughly the same amount of hash power as there was yesterday when we were getting all those blocks quickly. I would estimate that to be around 15 to 20% of whatever Bitcoin has, just from how fast they're coming in. But yeah, we'll be watching, because once the difficulty drops, now you have this interesting situation where miners can come over from Bitcoin if it's economically rational to do so, because difficulty has adjusted, and at that point you can mine a lot easier. So you know, we'll be watching that pretty closely, but that's not for another seven blocks or so.
Right, and here we have one more exchange. Let's take a look at like a 6-hour chart, I guess. And here we have the Nova exchange, which is also trading BCH to BTC. Now, I do not yet know if Nova exchange is accepting BCH deposits for trading, but so maybe I'm actually texting with someone to try and find out. But they do have a live market right here, and it looks like their price is 0.25, which again is very, very different from the price continuing to crash right here on HitBTC. So I need to check with Nova Exchange if they're accepting BCH deposits, and are they allowing Bitcoin withdrawals the moment someone sells BCH. And we don't know that yet. So we'll stay up to date on that. I also need to have like I might need 6 monitors soon, because I don't know if I want to be, you know, looking at my Twitter live, because people do. I know the screen is still literally my computer, so I'm just gonna go straight to mentions, and let's see. There was a very interesting discussion that I had earlier, and there was another reply which unfortunately has been deleted. Yeah, see, so this conversation right here, right? So you want to check this out right there. So someone replied to me saying, I managed to withdraw my BTC from Via with no issues at all, but I got them out of there pretty soon. So I think the first people that started trading BCC for BTC were able to withdraw their Bitcoin, but then Via put a stop to it, because here's another person says that I sent all my shitcoin trash to Via BTC last night, and now his BTC cannot be withdrawn. So he's stuck, not able to do it. Now, this same person replied to him saying that he didn't have that problem. So it's the different people, I guess, have different advantages. Okay. And there was some other things on my Twitter profile earlier this morning. I mean, my Twitter has just been blowing up. It's been hard to find stuff. Let me scroll down a little bit more. And this is just like the mentions. This isn't even like people liking or retweeting. I didn't even see that. I don't even know what that's about. I wanted to come to the picture where Via BTC is halting Bitcoin withdrawals. But now that the blocks are being mined on Bitcoin Cash, there's almost no reason for them to halt those withdrawals. Or also, people wanted to mention this. People want to know exactly where Bittrex is located, because some people decided to put the address of the Bittrex has into Google Maps, and they didn't seem to find anything. So if anyone does have any information on where Bittrex is actually located, we would love to hear more. So here's another warning. Don't try dumping your BCC, BCH on Via BTC. Apparently, they're pulling some, well, that's speculation here, right? But here it is. People just can't withdraw their Bitcoin. And it's kind of understandable if BCC blocks aren't being mined. But if BCC blocks are being mined, then they should allow you your Bitcoin withdrawal.
Indeed. I would like to thank our almost 1,000 live viewers right now, and especially the people that have donated. There was We Smoke Bitcoins. We love that guy because he keeps donating to us, and all these expenses all these donations are going towards expenses. Yeah, and there's a couple other people. I know people are watching from around the world, so thank you for that. yeah, we're if you haven't been watching from the beginning, we're discussing sort of the things that are going on with Bitcoin Cash all over on different exchanges, on Twitter, and things like that. This is a show that we're bringing to you because this is a big event in Bitcoin, and we're still trying to figure out what's really going on. It looks like Bitcoin Cash has mined a few blocks since the one that they mined a few hours ago, and in a few blocks, I think we should see them have their hash rate difficulty go down a little bit, and that means that miners will be incentivized to mine on there if these prices, depending on the price of the actual coin.
All right, guys, I may have good news. I might be able to bring on an exchange operator that whose exchange is trading BCC, BCH. Is this something we're all interested in?
Absolutely. Yeah, bring them.
All right, sending the link now. He'll need a few minutes to get in there. And we'll have some questions for him as to why they decided to do this and how it is. This really is turning into like a real live news show.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's take a look at the Bitcoin price. Now we got a little break in the action here. So nothing is going on with the weekly chart. The weekly chart stayed as is. Bitcoin is being stable. It's above $2,700. I personally expected higher than this by now, but I also expected people to freely deposit and withdraw Bitcoin and BCC. So that was my mistake. Why on earth would I ever think that? Okay. Here's the daily chart, and this is a red 2, which, based on this indicator that I always talk about, is starting to go bearish a little bit. However, this needs to be below yesterday's low in order to even consider a short trade in Bitcoin. So there you go. So this is now neutral. So my Bitcoin view right now on the daily chart is neutral, and I remain bearish Bitcoin on the daily. Sorry, I remain bullish Bitcoin on the weekly and neutral for the moment on the daily. And there it is. Okay, so people are now starting to sell Bitcoin Cash on Kraken. There's really not much to go by. The history is spotty. But if I do, hold on a second, I'm doing a couple of things at once here. And here we go. So let me very briefly talk about the technicals here. This is the 15-minute chart on Kraken. There was a 9 on the bottom side, which would tell you a potential profit-taking situation, but it continued to go down. We are now on a red 5. Again, if this gets to a red 9, that could be a break in the selling momentum. You're also looking for a red 13. So a 6 would be the 9 on the bottom, 7 would be a 10, 8. So yeah, so we still have more room to the downside. If I flip this to an hourly chart or a 30-minute chart, let's go with a 30-minute chart. The numbers do tell us that we had a 913.9 sell followed by a gravestone doji. I mentioned this morning. We then kicked off the bearish count. There was a shorting opportunity right here on this number 3. This 9 told you can take some profit from your short trade. And right now, if this candle with the 2 on top gives you a lower low in terms of Bitcoin, this becomes a sell once again, looking for another 9. All right, and we are now joined live by Linus, who is the CEO of a Swedish company, Cluster24, and the host of Nova Exchange right here that is trading the BTC, the BCC, BCH versus the Bitcoin pair. So go ahead and say hi, Linus. Give us a little introduction, and then we have lots of questions for you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. I hope you can hear me.
Yep, you're all set.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as you said, we are hosting the website Nova Exchange, and we decided to have Bitcoin Cash listed and for markets listed We are currently still waiting for the Bitcoin ABC wallet to be 100% synchronized. Until then, we can't really allow deposits or withdrawals, but as soon as it's 100% synchronized, we'll also allow deposits and withdrawals.
Oh, interesting. So you have to download the history of all of the historical Bitcoin transactions, and then splits off. So how far along are you in synchronizing your, I guess, Bitcoin Cash node?
I'm not 100% sure, but latest I heard was that sometime later tonight or until tomorrow morning, it should be 100% complete. We decided to go for an empty blockchain. I mean, start from scratch and let it sync all the way. I haven't heard if it's possible to use the bootstrap file for Bitcoin for bootstrapping the to making the synchronization go faster on Bitcoin ABC, but we thought it's better to just let it sync from scratch, and that took a lot longer time than expected.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a surprise. You're downloading like hundreds of over 100 gigabytes of stuff. Just a question for you. So do the users on your exchange that had Bitcoin before the fork, are you giving them the option of just sort of splitting them, or what's sort of the deal?
They don't get any option. They get the Bitcoin Cash automatically. So we did a split for them, and I'm not sure exactly how much I can say, but let's say we used actually ledgers to perform the split.
Okay, and as far as your cold wallets and hot wallets, did you have to go and split all of those coins so that you can make it easier to withdraw and do all the things that you need to do as an exchange?
Yeah, we put a Bitcoin wallet in maintenance a couple of days ago. We informed our users about a week ago about this upcoming fork, and that we had to close for deposits and withdrawals to make a controlled split once the fork had happened. And we are tonight at least releasing the Bitcoin wallet out of maintenance, and hopefully also the Bitcoin Cash wallet sometime later tonight or tomorrow.
Wow. And how soon do you anticipate people will be able to deposit Bitcoin Cash coins to your exchange, or withdraw them? How soon?
Well, as soon as the wallet is no longer in maintenance, as soon as the wallet is synchronized, we can start accepting both deposits and withdrawals. Withdrawals would, depending on where you're sending the money, but if you're sending to your own wallet, for example, it would only require like one confirmation, and then you have your Bitcoin Cash. But for deposits to our exchange, we will probably require at least about 10 confirmations initially. And the speed at the blocks are being found right now, that would be a lot of time, of course.
And are you anticipating wipeout attacks or something like that? Is that the big concern for requiring 10 confirmations?
Yeah, every block that is found makes the risk smaller. And at the moment, we have been discussing about around 10 blocks should be enough. To spend that much power to do a reversal of 10 blocks is right now the same as doing a reversal of the Bitcoin blockchain. So I don't know why someone would spend that much money.
Right, but there is a difficulty adjustment coming up where it will end up being about a quarter of the difficulty. Are you concerned about that? Because that 10 confirmations there are equivalent to 2.5 confirmations on the Bitcoin network. So how are you going to resolve that?
Yeah, we are treating this like any altcoin. This is not Bitcoin, this is an altcoin. And we have different number of confirmations depending on how secure the network is, how many, the mining power and the algorithm and the block time and some other parameters. But in general, it's usually about 10 to 20 confirmations for altcoins.
All right, so let me jump in here for a second. So I see that the price of BCH on Nova Exchange is around 0.26 Bitcoin. Yet on HitBTC, it's 0.05 Bitcoin. That is an insane discrepancy. Any thoughts on that?
Not really. I haven't looked on HitBTC and what their exchange rate is, but if it's falling, I mean, much more than on other exchanges, I don't know if there is any more to compare to, but
well, I believe as far as I understand, the main reason for that is because HitBTC is accepting external Bitcoin Cash deposits, and your exchange isn't. So that's probably the biggest driver. I'm not sure where Kraken and Bittrex and Bitfinex stand on this. Actually, I'm not even sure if Bitfinex is even trading this thing. Can anybody confirm or deny?
I haven't heard that they are. I believe they're not.
Right, and we do have a look. We do have a window into Kraken, and on Kraken it is down to 0.13. So those are our three metrics here. I don't have the Bittrex number. I should probably pull it up. But we have 0.26 on Nova, 0.13 on Kraken. Just went up to still 0.13, 0.137 now on Kraken, and 0.05 on HitBTC. Now, the pessimist that I am, this is the price I like to go by, but that's also because I predicted that it would be trading at $5 within 24 to 48 hours. So I am obviously rooting for HitBTC, but what do you guys think is the proper value of this token at the moment as a personal opinion?
That's a really hard question.
I hope somebody buys the bottom so I can get a free laptop. It's not looking good.
I think the price is going to come up. I think there's enough BCC and BTC on the exchanges that aren't allowing deposits of external BCC to arrive at actual price discovery. So I think...
But that's also why I think it's going to come down. I think there's a lot of people like our own MadBitcoins right here that's dying to get a new laptop, and he thinks that his best bet is to sell the BCC as soon as possible.
Maybe. But then, so if that's true, then the question is, why is there still one exchange that's double the price of the others? I think
that's because they're not accepting BCC deposits from those that split it on their own and didn't want to give up their private keys before August 1st.
Yeah, but what it means is that the 20,000 BTC guy that, canceled his shorts, he has 20,000 BCC on an exchange that is trading and could sell it now for a lot higher than 6. And could replace those 6 at the other place, just like buying any other altcoin. So
right, but there is this. But your assumption is that it will be easy for him to withdraw his gains, and I don't think it's that easy, because otherwise he would have done it by now.
I don't think counterparty risk in exchanges is as large as it used to be. I mean, we haven't seen these things failing left and right like they used to. It seems like the volatility index for exchange failure is as low as it's ever been. I mean, other than BTCE, who played as dirty as you could play, who's left that's gone out recently, I mean, your assumption is, so basically you're positing two things. One, that it's overvalued because everyone there is too stupid to buy it 4 times less somewhere else, or they're worried about the counterparty risk. And then
right.
If they're worried about their counterparty risk, then we should have evidence that, I mean, I think this hit company has been around for years, I think.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. So let's ask the exchange operator. So here's a hypothetical, right? So on Nova Exchange, I'm looking at it right now. The price is 0.26 Bitcoin. If someone sold, what did you say was 20,000 Bitcoin or $20,000 worth of Bitcoin?
Well, if you sold 100 Bitcoin,
right,
for 0.24 on I guess Finex.
Well, let's just use Nova Exchange since we have a Nova Exchange operator here. So
Yep.
let's use the price 0.25, right? So if you had 100 Bitcoin, it turned into 100 BCC. You can sell the 100 BCC, assuming you got buyers on the other side, for 0.25. So now you have an extra 25 Bitcoin that you sold right now on your exchange. Would you allow that person to withdraw that 25 Bitcoin? Linus, that one's for you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know it was for me.
Right.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anything you are trading on our exchange is, I mean, of course, actual currency. So you do whatever you like. I mean, of course, we have verification levels and such for keeping the losses when people are doing hacking and stuff, to keep that down. So we have like limits, daily limits and such. But anything you trade, I mean, you can of course at any time withdraw. I just want to remind also about this graph and the price. Of course, it's just small, those orders that are on that high price. I mean, would you try to sell more than 5 Bitcoin or what it was? You would actually, I mean, that is the whole order book. So you also have to take into consideration the size of the order book. So the price would not stay that high if you started selling off all of your Bitcoin Cash at the moment.
Right. So here's the price on Bittrex. Oh, I think I had that in a tab. I don't even know which tabs I have. So here we go. So we have all the exchanges lined up in a row here. So here's the price on Bittrex, and it is about the same price as the price on Nova Exchange. Right. So if you have that kind of BTC Cash on there, you can certainly sell it, get the Bitcoin out, and I guess you can move the Bitcoin back into HIT BTC and buy your BCC coins back in order to arbitrage and get the best price. But yeah, the price, here we go, HIT BTC, we're at 0.04. We broke below 0.05. So let's see how that goes. I can go down, so let's go to a 5-minute chart. And here we go. So there it is. We're already crossing below 0.05 realm. So that's 5% of the price of Bitcoin. So I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but sounds to me like it's closer to $100, $100, $150 or so, right?
That's something like that.
It seems like every exchange is equalizing at 0.12, except
Bittrex.
yeah.
Well,
Why would Bittrex still be double price?
Well, that's the same thing with Nova Exchange, right?
Yeah, no, it's not, because nobody got free BCC at Nova that I'm aware of, but a shitload of people got free BCC sitting on exchange at Bittrex now, right?
No. Linus just said they gave everyone their BCC that had Bitcoin.
Okay.
I think
trading at
Bittrex
what?
is not allowing deposits still. They have both Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash wallets are frozen.
I mean, I'm sure the volume on Nova is small compared to all the rest of them. But Linus just said earlier on this show that they awarded the BCC to everyone that had BTC on their exchange as of yesterday.
Yeah, this sucks because one place is at 0.05, one place, a lot of places, everyone else is at 0.12, and then one place is at 0.24.
Well,
So-
when you say a lot of places 0.15, as far as I know, it's only one place, Kraken. I don't know what exchange am I missing here?
Finex is at 0.13.
Oh, Bitfinex has it?
They're trading in that?
And yes, for quite a while.
Is it BCC or something else? What's the ticker?
BCC,
Right,
BTC
this was our
pair.
question.
So Finex is at 0.13, and Bittrex,
So BCC on Bitfinex is referring to Bitcoin.
the pair BCC to BTC, but it's really called BCH there.
Oh yeah, okay, all right. So they do have
So
BCH
it's at
now.
0.13 on Finex.
Bittrex did open up the Bitcoin withdrawals. They had them frozen temporarily, but they opened them back up. My mistake.
Right. So I see BCC right here, assuming BCC means Bitcoin Cash and not BitConnect.
Yeah, no. They used to have BCC, but he said the ticker symbol for at Bitfinex is BCH, because BCC and BC.
Bittrex is BCC for Bitcoin Cash. and Finex is BCH for Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, there it is, BCH. I see it right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
they
Finex
do
is at 12, and Bittrex is at 0.24.
All right. So how do I open a chart of Bitfinex? I can't seem to do that. And let me see. Maybe they're on. Are these both Kraken? They are. Just different times. Let me see if TradingView has it. BCH on Bitfinex. There it is. We want the USD or we want the Bitcoin? Which one do you guys prefer?
I mean, Bitcoin, I would think, no?
I guess Bitcoin, yes, since we're comparing apples to apples here. Right, so there it is. So here it is on Bitfinex. And on Bitfinex, you're right, it is at 0.126, which is equivalent to Kraken. I'm going to move them all next to each other. I'm going to also line them up in like somewhat order. All right, so here we go. Okay, right, so Kraken is in line with Bitfinex at 0.12, continuing to go down. Hit BTC, starting to pull back up a little bit. So we might finally be seeing some arbitrage going down. And
they haven't found
Bittrex,
blocks, though. I don't know how you transfer between them.
well, you can't. You send in your transaction, then you wait for a block.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. And they're not going to credit it for like 10 blocks like Linus was saying.
Right, and it depends. Like Linus is still waiting for the node to sync. I don't know how the other guys have been, if their nodes are synced up or not.
Jimmy, is there any way to find out when the next block will be?
There's no way, because it can happen at any time. I mean, we can always estimate, but there's no real history of Bitcoin Cash that we can point to. And I suspect that there's a lot of miners coming in and out. Hey, Linus, do you happen to know a guy named Yanold Fuchball?
I guess that's not really the real name, or?
We don't know.
We don't know, because that's the name of the guy that made Electron Cash, which is a fork of Electrum. I've been sort of auditing the code while we've been sort of on air. That's he looks like the only guy there, but yeah, I was wondering, his name sounds vaguely from some Northern European country, so I'm not really sure.
Sorry, I can't help you there.
Okay.
We are starting to see some price action on Hit BTC. The price is now 186. It is bouncing a little.
Hey, how'd you get that white chart? I want my charts to be white.
I don't know. I just logged in and it's there.
Do they have it on TradingView, or that's an internal TradingView version? What's their pair? It's a BCC pair. Let me see if they have it. BCC.
So guys, you think Bitcoin's going to dump or pump based on the exchanges opening up BCC?
I think Bitcoin is going to pump because people are going to sell the hell out of this thing and get their Bitcoin out of there.
It's possible.
I was saying that for weeks now, and still waiting for it to come true.
So I'm going to take a contrarian position, not because I want to be, but because it's what I think. I think that every single person that was ever going to buy a BTC did it before August 1st. And we didn't break all-time high or even come close. And so if you look at the history of every single Bitcoin crash, they all look exactly like where we're at right now. Vertical leap, dump, little vertical, smaller, doesn't meet all-time high, dump, and 2 or 3 years of suck. Rinse and repeat 3 years later.
I don't think so.
Sad.
I don't think so. I will take the other side of that. I mean, it's pretty good logic, but Bitcoin was in this nervous position over the August 1st, but the segregated witness, the user activated soft fork uncertainty. When I'm looking at this big update right here, this was the day that the world has found out that the user activated soft fork will not be disruptive, and the miners are finally on board with SegWit. So all this buying power had to do with SegWit activation. not preparation for this hard fork. And I really didn't see any buying for the purposes of splitting off into Bitcoin Cash. I didn't see that buying coming in. But what I did notice, or at least my opinion is, a lot of people were too scared to buy Bitcoin because of August 1st, user-activated soft fork chain split scare. And because of this hard fork replacing the fear element, people never actually bought in. Like the outsiders this pump off of segregated witness, I think would have been significantly larger. Like I was looking for another $650 in gains around the end of July, but that was before this hard fork had teeth to actually happen. And I think all these buyers that I was expecting to come in when August 1st was going to be a non-event, these buyers never actually showed up because of the fear of this hard fork. And I think that as this hard fork dies and becomes an actual altcoin without scaring people that now we have to deal with 2 Bitcoins, these buyers will be coming in to real Bitcoin.
All right. Do you want me to make some more contrarian statements, or?
Of course, absolutely.
All right. So not only did, in my opinion, everyone that was ever gonna buy a BTC already do it, and even some people were borrowing BTCs, right? So you not only have the people that were gonna buy their move, you not only had the holders and the buyers that wanted to get in and have them, but you also had people leveraging to get coins the amount of otherwise even gotten to get even more. And we still couldn't break all-time high. And now we have proof that the market share and first mover doesn't matter, and that anyone can come along and fork and take 14% of your market share and 10 or 12% of your media mentions, and it doesn't cost them anything. I mean, they launched this with no press, no trade shows, 1 real core dev, 2 not core devs, and they're at 14% of Bitcoin's value with 3 fucking guys and a couple miners.
It's a little early to call that, because again, not all exchanges are accepting BCC deposits. Also, I have to object to the statement no press, because the biggest press in our space is still Bitcoin.com, simply based on the name, and they were pushing this stuff a lot. So they did have plenty of press, and mainstream media press covered this incident way more than they were covering the user-activated soft fork. So there was
they covered it after. They covered it after everyone already had their bets in. They covered it late, in my opinion. So one other, on a side note, if any of you guys believe that this BCC is going to dump very hard, and just like the guys at DCG who, Barry Silbert and all those guys said they're going to dump their BCC as soon as they can. Everyone on this show says they're going to dump their BCC as soon as they can. That's how I felt earlier today. You guys can all dump your BCC, BCH crap right now on HitBTC. You could dump it. As blocks are found, they'll deposit it within 2 blocks.
But here's the thing, why would I want to dump it there? They have the cheapest price, right? This is the problem. Yes, you're right. I mean, Thomas, MadBitcoins, his best option right now are, I'm not sure. Hey, Thomas, are you with us?
Where are you trying? Because you could have dumped it earlier. You could have dumped it earlier at 0.15, and now it's 0.06. So you could have rebought it and just arbitraged 6. You could have made 50% the money in 1 hour. Is why you would do that.
I would love to dump it over on Nova Exchange where the price is 0.26, but they're not accepting my BCC deposits, are you? Since we have Nova Exchange on here.
No, and actually that wouldn't be the main issue. Even if we open the wallet right now, we still would require 10 confirmations, since there are still quite, there is still a risk that there is someone mining unofficial or releasing a longer blockchain and causing some reorganization of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. So anyone who cares about their business would not accept less than, let's say, 5 or 6 confirmations on deposits right now. It's highly risky to go for like 2-3 confirms like on Bitcoin. I would not jeopardize our business in that way.
Right. So there you go. So I would love to dump them on Nova Exchange for 0.26, but I can't. And I haven't even gotten around to splitting my BCC from my Bitcoin. And I don't trust myself in doing that correctly. I
can
don't
tell
want
you how to do it.
I'm sure many people can, but actually I've been live streaming all day, so I haven't even had time to think about it. But my Bitcoin security is very different than others, so mine is going to be a little bit more
I can tell
interesting.
you, it was pretty stressful splitting my BCH from my Bitcoin. I'm not even sure that I did it perfectly right. I probably kind of exposed my value to people. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to say that, but no, I mean, for me, what I ended up doing, I don't know where the camera is right now, but what I ended up doing was
It's on you.
okay. It's hard to tell sometimes. It's Google. But I had a ledger. And so what I did is I emptied all the wallets on that ledger into one wallet. Then I moved that all off onto a Trezor. So I knew that my Bitcoin was out of my ledger. Then Ledger had an update. I did that. I logged in as Bitcoin Cash. Suddenly there was money there again. I knew it wasn't my Bitcoin because it's on the Trezor now. So then I moved the Bitcoin Cash into HitBTC. And now I'm waiting on the second block. I understand with what Richard said. Perhaps people should maybe sell half of their Bitcoin Cash. Maybe they should have 75-25, have a strategy. But for myself, I would like a new laptop. So hopefully it'll go back up here and I'll get a sell in. But I am definitely waiting on that second block. And I think if a lot of people are waiting on the second block, they're also going to sell, push this down. But maybe somebody's waiting to buy it at the floor. I don't know.
Right. I mean, to me, it's the Steemit situation all over again. Like when Steemit dumped from $4 at the top all the way down to being 9 cents. And yeah, then there was this whole altcoin ICO pump coming in, and Steemit was able to come back. But I am expecting a big dump. Now, maybe Bitcoin Cash will find the floor, but you have this chicken and egg situation in that the cheaper Bitcoin Cash gets, the more difficult it becomes to actually mine. I mean, there's no proof of stake bullshit that's creating Bitcoin Cash out of thin air, like with a lot of these altcoins or these ICOs that are just creating them out of thin air. You actually have to go and mine it, unless the plans of Bitcoin Cash is to create a masternode quasi-incentive proof of stake system, right? So as the price of Bitcoin Cash starts to fall, because of this initial wave, and Thomas is a part of it. And if I was, I mean, I don't care. I just don't care about this token. Like, I don't care if I can buy a new laptop right now. I'm just spending my time trying to provide all the information I can to the people, and they may not like my opinion, but that's my opinion. And they know I'm not out there selling my Bitcoin because I'm on camera talking to you guys. So I'm not in the rush to do it. Now, if this token is viable, kind of like Ethereum. Let's say I bought into the crowd sale and then I couldn't care less. And now I'm like, Ethereum is $400. Maybe it's time to go get some, right? Or I will be the guy that never split his Ethereum Classic from Ethereum because he didn't care about Ethereum Classic. Now that Ethereum Classic is $20, you say, maybe I should just, go get that laptop now. So like, I'm not in the rush to chase that carrot, as like I've been saying for the last couple of days. And I don't want to screw up. I don't want to expose my private keys. I don't want to reshuffle all my Bitcoin around because my Bitcoin security is like different than anybody else's. So for me, it will be a little more complicated. For me, it would not be as simple as Thomas having to just move from one hardware wallet to another and hit a button. For me, it would be a lot more complicated. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just like watching what's happening with the price. And I think the price will keep going down because of people like Thomas is the majority, though it is ticking up on HitBTC right now.
Still waiting on that second block. Go ahead, Linus.
Yeah, I just heard from somewhere that actually Poloniex seems to be down at the moment. I don't know if it's anything you can confirm.
Well, is Poloniex trading this thing?
That I don't know, but I just noticed that.
Is this Poloniex website? Is this what it looks like now? No, that's not how I remember it.
That's just is it down right now website where where you can check if it's
All
only
right.
your way.
Can you still get sheet music there? What about my sheet music?
Oh, there you go. Poloniex is down.
That's kind
Confirmed.
of huge. I mean,
Well, is Poloniex trading this thing yet? I thought they weren't gonna.
I don't think so, but they are like the largest altcoin exchange.
Oh, there go all your thoughts of moving all of your. Well, no, you would have had to move all of your. Okay, so Richard, so I will move everything you said about people buying into it before August 1st. I can see that from an altcoin perspective because I know at least one person that moved all of his altcoins, like all of his altcoins from like Poloniex and other places. He moved all of his altcoins into, I believe, like either Kraken or somewhere. Like he consolidated all of his altcoin positions. He put them all into Bitcoin on Kraken. And then he's trying to trade and use the free BCC to get more Bitcoin and then get them out and go back into altcoins. So I can see it from that perspective, but not from a Bitcoiner perspective.
Well, we should have broke all-time high.
No, I think I do not agree with you because the fear over the user-activated soft fork was significant. Now, again, we have to decide which piece of news caused the fear. Now, if the user-activated soft fork was not an issue, then I would probably agree with you right now. If the controversy for the last 2 months was this exact thing, then yeah, me and you would probably be in the same position right now, and I would be a lot more nervous that Bitcoin is doing what it's doing. But this came in literally last minute, and I don't think people had the time to really process what to do about this fork.
Well, I mean, they processed it enough to get us to 2,900 of 3,000.
We got there, but we got to 2,900.
That's my point, is that they must have processed it a bit to get us 99% of the way there.
Well, they did. This was the resolution of segregated witness, and the user-activated soft fork got us within a fraction of the all-time high. And the moment we relaxed, I relaxed for like 2 days. People were even commenting that Tone was happy again on live video for the first time. That happiness lasted about 2 days because right after that, I had to deal with this Bitcoin Cash nonsense. And that once again scares the market. Now, I may have contributed to scaring the market because I now have a pretty big following. But yeah, I think that we would have been well above all-time highs if it wasn't for this Bitcoin Cash. And yeah, it is trading on the price of Bitcoin, and it is dragging us down. And the quicker Bitcoin Cash becomes irrelevant, the better it is for the price of Bitcoin. Now, the reverse is also true. The more relevance and viability a Bitcoin Cash is getting, the worse it is for the price of Bitcoin.
So you remember when I told you that the cheap thing would go up? The cheap thing's gone up. It's 0.93 versus 0.11 on Finex. So the arbitrage opportunity has disappeared. It was there.
It's disappearing. You're right. So I now see it on HitBTC at 0.09, and on what do we got here on Bitfinex? It's still coming down, right? We're still coming down on Bitfinex, and perhaps HitBTC went, overshot to the downside where it went below 0.05. But once these things even out at around 0.10, which is where we were before the fork, guys. Before the fork, we were estimating this thing to be at around 0.1 Bitcoin. Once it stabilizes at 0.1 Bitcoin, then we need to judge where is it going from there. Is there going to be selling across the board, or is there going to be buying across the board? So until all of these exchanges are generally evened out, and then I expect them to start accepting deposits. and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, everything's balanced out now except for everything's at 0.10 to 0.11 except for Finex, and Finex is dumping, or Bittrex rather. So Kraken, Finex, HIT, BTC are all 0.1 to 0.11.
Right. So,
and the only outlier now that exists is Nova Exchange, who's on the phone. We expect your exchange to dump when you can accept deposits, and Bittrex, who can't accept BCC deposits, but neither can anyone else. So I guess the market's finding the price anyway.
Right. So, but there you go. But to me, the point is, HitBTC was the first exchange to accept BCC deposits. And we saw what happened when they did that. The moment they started accepting BCC deposits, the price kind of dumped. I do not know if Bitfinex and Kraken are actually accepting BCC deposits. It's possible they are not accepting BCC deposits. And what you are now witnessing is arbitrage by moving Bitcoin around to these exchanges because of HitBTC. But if HitBTC is still the only exchange accepting Bitcoin deposits, the moment other exchanges accept Bitcoin deposits, I expect the same thing to happen to them that happened to HitBTC, even if HitBTC is at the same price as Bitfinex and Kraken. So what we're looking for now is confirmation. Yeah, go on.
When is your wallet coming up, bud? Because you're leading the most expensive coin market cap ticker for BCH.
Yeah,
coming up.
We just actually released a Bitcoin wallet out of maintenance just like 5 minutes ago. That's why I was somehow working with something else. And as I said earlier, we are just waiting for the synchronization of the wallet, of the Bitcoin ABC wallet. That took a bit more time than expected.
All right.
As soon as that is done, we'll be releasing a Bitcoin Cash.
All right, guys.
So how many minutes is that? Or long, short, hours, days, minutes?
As I said earlier, by either later tonight, but I would guess tomorrow morning. It's soon time to go to sleep here in Sweden.
All right, so I don't know how true this is, but here are people like sending me messages on Twitter, and they're saying that they are having an issue withdrawing from HitBTC.
Well, okay.
Does anyone know when you could start depositing? I mean, on what block they were starting to accept deposits? Because it can't be more than like 4 or 5 blocks back in time.
Well, I heard it this morning. When I woke up this morning, I was informed that HitBTC, and I woke up late today. I mean, yesterday was a long day. So I woke up about maybe 5 hours ago, and I was already hearing that HitBTC was accepting deposits in BCC.
So
I'm pretty sure if we assume that the second block goes off when this red starts up here, and if that's the second block coming through, and then I have about one confirmation. I'm waiting for my block. There's probably another red coming through if another block would ever finish.
So does anyone know how many confirmations they require? Because
2.
I mean,
they were saying 5, but they switched it down to 2. So
well,
I think that accelerated the selling.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So now you're waiting for your second confirmation in order to sell your BCC on HitBTC.
Absolutely.
It should already be there, dude.
It says it's there, but it won't let me sell. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's because you need to move it to your trading account, and you can dump
it. I'm stupid. I'll try it.
This is why you only hold. You don't trade.
Right.
You don't have to know any of this shit.
That's exactly it. This is why some people just hold. And this is also why some people should just hold.
I think everyone should just hold.
I agree.
You know how many people have turned big Bitcoin fortunes into small Bitcoin fortunes? Because, like, I read this post today called "You may not be the best poker player, but you can at least pick the dumbest table," and that choosing what table you sit at is at least as important as how well you play. And if you're playing versus people better than you, you are going to lose. And I can assure you that the real HFT guys fuck around in crypto and they will take your money. So if you trade in crypto, you are not the smart money. You are the last guy to know. You're not in on the pumps. If you weren't on the pumps, you don't have enough volume to do shit. I do not support the trading of these highly speculative things when you're the dumbest guy at the table. Just my opinion.
No, I agree with that. And this is why I no longer trade anything except option spreads, because I feel like that is my expertise. I spent 10 plus years trading options, studying options, and I feel that I have the advantage on almost everyone in that space other than the big boys, because I don't trade with big money. I scalp the little money, and I think I have as much of an advantage as anyone. And that's why I stay in that arena. I feel like I've specialized. And I'm not even going to mess around with this stuff because there are bigger players out there than me that will take my money if I start trading.
Yeah, it's I made a whole YouTube video about it. I guess I can link it in the chat. So basically, if you win at trading, all you're doing is taking some other guy's money. You're just shifting money around. You're not creating anything. So should you feel good about taking someone else's money? Probably not, because you could have got his money in a way that he would have agreed with, that he would have liked, by providing him a good or a service that he would have preferred. But instead, people trade and shift hands back and forth, and the only people that really win are the house. And how good is it that we have a world full of casinos and slot machines taking people's money and, you know, adding a lot of sizzle and a lot of spectacle to the sitting down and trying to take money from other people. It doesn't create anything except waste. Now, when I present this idea to poker players and stock traders, they say things like, oh, well, you know, it's entertainment value and these people had to be entertained some way. Well, a lot of people kill themselves over the entertainment value, and a lot of families are ruined over this entertainment value. So I don't really support that one. And then another one I heard was, oh, well, we're training AIs how to become smarter. Yeah, at poker, but that doesn't actually extend to any other AI stuff. So you're, you know, if you can make money making real goods and services and making people happy, it's far better than figuring out tricky ways to, I mean, look at us now. We're just staring at these fucking screens, just staring at them, staring and staring and staring until our eyes want to bleed. That's not a healthy way to live. And it's, you know, the end result is what? We have a little bit better price discovery. We could probably get the same price discovery with 10 times less people doing it in nearly all the markets. That's my opinion.
I agree. I do agree with that. I don't really, wait, how do I get out of, oops, not what I wanted to do. Also not what I wanted to do. I got into full screen. I don't know how to, now I forgot which button gets me out of it. Is it F?
Haha, you were trapped in the
F2?
windows.
No,
I'm trapped in
or
Windows.
escape. F11 or escape.
I tried F11. It
Escape.
makes my other thing bigger. Oh, that's why. I got it. I was highlighted on the wrong window. Okay, good. Yeah, I got trapped in Windows there for a second. And Rich, and I agree with you. The only thing, and again, I know what I'm doing when I trade in the options market. I know I'm just gambling and I'm not being productive at all to the global economy. The only thing I will say is, the only criticism is what you said at the end, being, well, we can do this with just a few people. Well, the fewer people that are doing it, the more manipulation there are in the market. So you want to open it up to the maximum number of people to lower the manipulation of the set market and set asset. And you're right, there is no good solution. So people are doing the best they can. But saying that only a few people can do the job, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that, because those few people could collude.
Well, they're already colluding, right? I mean, how many fines do you need to see for the London gold fix and when you what's more fixed than a bunch of guys that go to dinner with each other after they're trading and, you know, all shit on each other's boats and like.
I agree, but I'm not in the rush to make it worse. Like, I don't want my ability to trade options taken away from me because my net worth is small. And then these guys then I wouldn't even be able to arbitrage between their big trades.
You would have to, I think, in order to judge whether it was holistically good for society or not, you'd have to see what percentage of people won and lost. So if you said, I don't think it's fair that only Walgreens could sell vitamins, I should be able to get in some multi-level marketing bullshit vitamin sales. And then you look at the people that bought into it, and 99% of them lose their ass, and then 1% kind of does okay. Well, then that's net loss for society, right?
True.
And it's maximum middlemen. And so I think that you could look at people that have purchased TradeStation or, other day trading stuff, which has been around for decades, and see on average how well they do. And I think it's basically grinding up meat. I think that these people get ground up and wrecked, and 1 out of 100 might do okay. And the better okay that he did, he just ruins his life with too much money. So like when you take 100 people's money, grind it up, get 90 people left after friction, and give it to one guy, and then his addictive behavior that made him good at that thing just destroys him in a different way. It's bad for everybody. The 9 out of 10 people that lost, it's bad for them. And the one guy that got more money than he knows what to do with, it's not great for him either. So I think this boom and bust cycle of crushing 9 people out of money and giving it to the one super winner minus 10% friction is not good.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't like science and experimenting where you actually get something at the end of it. Here, you just get people that maybe have to stay at work a little bit longer to pay their debt, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I do see a point, and I end up arguing this point with Gabriel Devine on this channel every now and then. It's not an ideal system, but anyone that's ever tried to fix that ended up in communism, which was worse. So it is what we have to deal with.
I think if you look at the countries that have the highest citizen outcomes, they all have a lot of shit in common. They have socialism for needs and capitalism for wants. And I think socialism for needs and capital for wants works. And ideally, one day, everything could be a libertarian love fest. But libertarianism only works in theory. It doesn't work in the real world. The Chinese that, to some degree, could enslave their citizens will come and take your land. And your volunteer army will sail right away if they can. Like, shitty slavery-based systems outperform fun, fair systems, right? Like, in the wild, everything eats everything else. Everything's in the food chain. Very few things get to be apex predators. And so, libertarianism can't actually survive in the wild because it's too nice and too fair. The shitty things outperform it. So I think becoming more like the most successful countries in the world is a good idea, particularly for America. Single payer healthcare. If you get rid of the 33% cost of insurance companies, get 50% more care money for everybody instantly. Insurance company guy doesn't fix your bones. He just steals money from the guy who does. So that's one spot where socialism works fabulously, and there's a lot of other ones. Why not car insurance? Why not all insurances? Does competition between insurance companies really make them better after 100 years of figuring out how to be good? Not so much.
Deep thoughts,
Gotcha.
Richard. Good stuff.
All
I'm
right,
still watching this chart. Like you say, it's totally got me. I'm staring at the market.
Keep staring, man. Keep staring. You're gaining calories, gaining weight.
A bigger laptop, a smaller laptop. It's pretty stressful, man. It's like I'm watching the RAM go up and down. It's not a great laptop buying experience, I would say.
If you're going to buy a laptop, go on notebookcheck.net. They test everything. They test whether the screen flickers or not with pulse width modulation. They test the frequency response with a graph. They test the noise. They give you a heat graph that shows you where the heat on the laptop is and how hot it gets and whether it throttles. The best laptop.
Oh yeah,
reviews
I
in the entire
remember. Yeah,
world.
I do remember this. I was checking them out when I was buying my laptop, and what I ended up buying was the Lenovo X1 Yoga Gen 2. So
it's great. It's a great laptop.
And yep, Lenovo X1 Yoga. Yep, this is exactly the laptop I ended up buying right here.
Yeah, that's a great
laptop. I did read their reviews, and it was like exhausting to even read the review. And they checked out everything. I'm loving this laptop. Now, of course, I ordered it with the wrong screen. Well, I didn't accidentally order the wrong screen. I ordered it, and then when I saw the screen, I wasn't happy, so I had to reorder it, and I ended up paying way more for this laptop than I should have. But yeah, this was the laptop that I ended up buying.
Yeah, you can skip most of the reviews and just go to their top 10 lists on the right, like small business laptops or gaming laptops, whatever your flavor is.
Mm-hmm. Wait, where am I going?
But I'm just going to get a MacBook.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to the charting here. Let's see what's going on with the price. The HIT BTC price is at about 8.085. It is starting to, oh, not that one. Where is our arbitrage play? The arbitrage play right now seems to be, oh, and this one bounced back up. Okay, so here we have Bitfinex. We had a little bit of a spike up, and same thing on Kraken. Now, these are on different time frames. This is Kraken's 30-minute time frame, which is on a sell trade according to this indicator that I really like to use. It went on a sell trade at around 0.12.5, maybe 0.13. It went on a short trade on the 30-minute chart. Here's the 15-minute chart from Bitfinex, which last went on a short trade around 0.14 using the 15-minute charts. There has been no indication yet to take profits from that trade. So let's see what the next half an hour or hour brings. Linus, you want to get back in here? Any comments? How's your node syncing going?
I haven't checked it recently, but I did have a comment on the discussion about, you know, good or bad for society kind of ideas. I do agree about some part of it, of course. But let's compare doing, for example, trading and gambling, like casino and online casino and this. If you compare doing it in fiat currencies or doing it in cryptocurrencies, I would still say to use this as a way for people to actually get to learn about cryptocurrencies and to learn how to make a deposit, how to make a withdrawal, how to have your own wallet in your own maybe telephone, or how to buy your first Bitcoin to get started with any of these new services and such. I think that's still a step in the right direction to, I mean, to a more libertarian way of handling your own money and not being in control of the banks and such. But of course, I see the problem still with gambling and trading. It's not really producing anything, but people like it, and if it's a way of getting people into cryptocurrency, I still think it's a good idea.
I agree, Linus. I think it's going a little too far to worry about cryptocurrency causing the ills of the world. But it's not unrealistic for Richard to say that there is some bad things with spending all your time trading and the potential for addiction. We have even larger swings in cryptocurrency, so it could be even more addicting.
So I'd be curious to hear the arguments as to why this double top crash bubble doesn't act just like all the other ones. Because the graphs look the same, and if you look at the Google search volume, it's at half as well.
Are you talking specifically about Bitcoin on a long-term scale?
Yeah, we're at 50% the search volume. So Google Trends is at half of peak. And I don't know if you want to call it a trailing indicator or not, but Bitcoin is dumped anytime search volume's fallen off.
In general, to me, and I talk about this on my show all the time, double tops are never a high. Like to me, you could have convinced me that Bitcoin is going to bubble top right here at the low, then right here where we are today. Like, to me, my view on trading has always been, if you have a double top, there is almost a certainty that that is not a high. Just like if you have a double bottom, it's almost a certainty it's not a low and it's going lower. Like,
so you think that the top was a little too tall to be called like a fail? You think 2,900 was close enough to 3,000 that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think the moment we went back to 2,500, sorry, to 2,900, to me, okay, awesome, perfect. I know, like, all my fears of a Bitcoin crash to 1,000 went away. Like, the moment I see a double top, I'm buying. Because normally the market isn't accommodating enough to give you a second chance to get out at the top. You usually get 1 day if you're lucky. Most of the time, you just get a couple of hours, and then it's over. Like, that's what happened with gold at 1900. That's what happened with silver at $50. That's what happened with oil when it hit 147 back in like 2009. Same thing on the bottom. Like when the S&P crashed after the dot-com era, after the financial crisis, the S&P fell to like $666. Everyone was making fun of that number. That's it. If you didn't buy it that day, you were buying it way higher. Like, you never got a second chance to buy the low. The moment you get a second chance to buy the low, it's probably a trap.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you've been trading these. I'm not a trader. I just have too much time in my hands. I just stare at screens too much. This shit's very curious to me. I tried to make this, like, I would love to see actually somebody run the math on Bitcoin was used to create Ethereum. Ethereum was used to create Waves. Waves is being used to create other bullshit. That bullshit will make other bullshit. And then it's rehypothecation, which happened in the mortgage markets. And then when one thing falls, all the dominoes fall. Except in this case, they're not linked the same. They're not really debts, right? So I'd love to just release some analysis software on what happens when certain parts of this chain fail. Where would you prefer to have your failure? Because it seems like leverage. Like, so if Bitcoin is 1 and then you get 2x leverage up and down on Ethereum, and then you get 4x leverage up and down on Waves. I'm just using this example.
Right. Well, I wouldn't go with Waves. I would just go with the ERC20 tokens on top of Ethereum.
Right. And then I don't really know, like, I haven't modeled the failure modes of this thing, and I'm very curious to know where the win play is. Like, is there some expected value down this chain, which is like, I have to, off the cuff, I think that the farther down the chain you get, the easier you get wiped out, because the real value was all the way at the beginning. Like, for instance, part of the reason Bitcoin's better than everything else is, look, we just got airdropped money. You want BTX airdrop? You want Byteball airdrop? You want this new Bitcoin Cash airdrop? If you're getting airdropped, they're giving it to us. That's cool, right? So that's one reason you might want to be.
This model failed for Aurora Coin, like airdrop money. And
yeah, but they had a technical problem. They got time warp attacked. Otherwise, they'd still have a value. They had the only that airdrop probably would have worked had they not been time warp attacked and couldn't adjust the difficulty back down.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Like, anyone that does have a good theoretical model, they might get crushed in the technical arena. And I'm not happy about this model, and I've talked about it on yesterday a lot, saying that if Bitcoin Cash is successful, they just created a brand new model to launch every future altcoin. This is what everyone is going to try and do. They're going to try and get the decentralized world of Bitcoiners to buy into it. This will become the norm if this is successful, which is why I don't think it's successful. I do not think it's going to be successful.
And I'll tell you why. I've done everything I can to shit talk this project. I've made memes.
So did I.
I've made graphics. I've told everyone what a piece of dumpster fire shit this is. But I know that it's not going to zero. And do you know how I know that? Because every other piece of shit altcoin with even worse wallets and even worse adoption is worth way more. So if shittier things with less press and are more hackable, and if as shitty as this altcoin dumpster fire is, it's better than most of the other ones, right? So I wish, like, it and besides, we get to learn from it anyway. Go do a gate make blocks. Maybe it does work. And by the way, if there's a problem with 51% attacks, why the fuck would this coin be able to survive, right? It's SHA-256. If it has 10% of the hash power, anyone off of main chain should be able to double spend it at will, right? But it doesn't matter because people still pump these stupid fucking fantasy coins anyway, right? So shitty as this dumpster fire is, that I've done everything I could to say this is a terrible idea with one bad dev. It's terrible. Don't do it. It's horrible. I know this shit's still not going to zero. It probably will. It will probably be worth more than the other fork of Bitcoin, Litecoin. It'll probably be worth more than Litecoin. I don't know why Litecoin is worth more.
Hey, Thomas, this is exactly what I said this morning, right? Like, as much as I hate this thing, it's still better than 98% of other altcoins.
Well, and how am I going to hate it after it buys me a free laptop?
And big blocks might work. They might work. It's a risk, but it's a risk we don't have to accept anymore. It's a bigger risk for 44 billion market cap than it is for 4 billion market cap, right? So maybe at 4 billion market cap, which would normally be asinine in the real world, but in the crypto world isn't asinine, maybe 8 megabyte box is a good experiment at a $4 billion valuation. So it's a bad idea for these things. You ain't going to be able to stop this shit. If you bring your family to a timeshare seminar, they're buying a timeshare and telling you what an idiot you are, right? If I tell you I've written essays on why Ethereum is so hackable and the attack surface area is too large and no smart person will ever be able to make a bug-free contract in this shit, no one cares. They'll look you in the eye and they'll tell you you're an idiot. And you know what? They made 40x their money and you didn't by being the smarter guy, which makes you wonder, I had to wait, for 7 years to get fucking Bitcoin gains that these assholes got in 6 months? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't the smart guy. Maybe the best tech doesn't win. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. We all are on this World Crypto Network. We were all like talking shit about Ethereum the whole time, and now some of us feel like idiots for not making all those gains.
It would have been a lot easier to put $1,000 in that crowd sale and just hold it than not having $1 million now. So yeah.
Why would anyone ever go into a crowd sale with like no cap? Like, hey, give us money and fuck you. You don't really know what you're getting. Maybe you get 1%, maybe you get 5%, maybe you get no percent. Haha, give us your money.
Well, I
don't know.
I was calling it like an unlicensed, unregistered security the whole time because that's what it was to me coming from the financial world. I finally did that crypto scam episode about it. Okay, so Richard, so what do you think of this statement? So I saw this last night in a chat. It wasn't Andrew Stone who wrote that. It was someone else quoting Andrew Stone. And this is what he wrote. No matter what happens to BCH, this clean hard fork puts the lie to Blockstream and Core developers endless statements that it will take what it was 6 months to a year to execute a hard fork. And my issue with this is, how in the world is he calling this a clean hard fork? Last I checked, Bitcoin is still around, did not drop in price, and is like 95+% of the hash rate. To me, a clean hard fork would be there is still only one Bitcoin, and this is the lead developer of that other project.
The lead developer of that other project is very intelligent. However, he is a dickhead, and he is French. Now, French people can be very nice, but if you run into a French dickhead, it's not great, right? So if you watch his interview, technically, super smart. Might one day have innovations. I respect his technical chops, but you can tell the motherfucker don't own no Bitcoin because he don't mind burning the network up, right? For people that don't hold a thing, they don't care. As a matter of fact, they probably prefer your thing get burnt to the ground, right? So they're more than happy to take huge risks. So for someone that doesn't own any Bitcoin, yeah, take huge risks. Maybe, do all the crazy things. Maybe we'll get another 1% market cap. But for people that actually have skin in the game, why would you want to take any risks at all when the main problem is adoption anyway? Like, we don't have full blocks. We have no fucking adoption. If you go out in the street and pull a gun on people and put it to their head and be like, show me your Bitcoin wallet, you're going to have to shoot a lot of people because nobody has one, right? So we don't actually need better tech. The tech is already more than good enough. We need more adoption, which means we need more advertising. But because of the tragedy of the commons, no one can afford to do the ads. You want to do a good ICO? Do an ICO for fucking advertising Bitcoin. That is a good ICO. Because what we need is more marketing into the public, and we don't need more technology. Who uses multisig? Barely fucking anyone. And the people that do lose the money anyway, right? They don't even use the technology they're given properly. You give them the best Bitcoin wallet anyway, they get fucking owned by malware. So like, we don't actually need better tech. We need better marketing.
And that might be this network right here. I've got to get the QR code up.
All right, so we do have some breaking news. This doesn't look very good. Trading has been halted while we work to restore connectivity. This may take some time, though. This is a joke. I guess someone. So don't get scared of that. But this is the official tweet from Poloniex that they have halted trading. But hey, they
says I'm dropping the price of BTC. Well, dude, I hate to break it to you, but I'm long as fuck. So, but you
Well,
know what
you're
the
long,
funny thing is?
You're long what? You're long what?
Well, I hold Bitcoin, right? I fucking
yeah.
hold. That's my
Oh
thing.
yeah, me
But
too.
guess what? You know what? As a holder, I don't really give a fuck if the price goes down because I ain't selling. So, you know what? Price can go down. Cheap coins, great. I don't care. But for you guys, they're gonna dump. Well, sorry guys. You know, truth hurts. Tell more of your friends about fucking Bitcoin. What can I tell you? I've been doing it forever.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned what do you call it, like ICOing Bitcoin for more promotional and PR. I remember saying that on panels 2 years ago. Like I was on a VC panel and I said, look, the best VC investment possible is you buy like $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and then you spend like $5 to $10 million advertising Bitcoin and promoting it, and your 1 million Bitcoin investment will make up for all those losses just spending on advertising. I mean, I said this years ago.
I got a
in
solution
public.
for that. I can spec you because I had this idea in 2013. So same one you just described, and I mentioned it to some people, but they couldn't come up with a solution. So Mike Hearn built something called Lighthouse, and Lighthouse solves the tragedy of the commons by time locking funds away, so that a bunch of people time lock funds, and then if it reaches a certain amount, then they get given out to an address. Right? It's like a crowdfunding platform. So you could require that certain large holders, say exchanges who make fees, have to lock away into a Lighthouse contract a certain portion of money, right? And then if it reaches that critical mass, it takes that money and it's given to a trusted third party who then buys ads. And advertising companies exist. You could choose 5 of the top ones that, you know, do Coca-Cola ads and whatever else. And then you wouldn't have the tragedy of the commons because people are provably showing their reserve balances, provably showing a 1% donation to marketing. And then it only activates if everyone else also puts in their 1%. And so you know that no one can like get out of it because they've already like escrowed the money in a multi-sig Lighthouse thing, right? So you could get over the tragedy of the commons by having exchanges guarantee 1% of their deposits towards marketing or some other percent, right? Because they're the only people that have enough coins, perhaps some early guys, that could actually profit on the expenditure, right? And you could also do it just globally. Like, hey, if your wallet, we see your wallet exists, we know what the balance is. If we see 1% of your wallet go towards this thing and 5% of the Bitcoin network does it, then we release the funds to these people. You could use a trustee, you could use lawyers. Like, it's a good fucking idea. It's the best idea I've heard for actually promoting this shit.
No, that does sound good. Go ahead, Linus.
Yeah, I just had a comment on the PR part, or doing some kind of advertising for Bitcoin in general. I see it like, for example, compared to internet. I mean, did internet become successful because of advertisement? I don't know.
Yes. Yep. You ever seen AOL CD? You ever get an AOL CD? You ever fucking build a house out of AOL CDs? Yeah. Yes, marketing made the internet successful. Correct. Yep. 100%.
It was also the best technology in town, though, right? The internet was the place where you could get anything. I mean, I knew right away I could look things up on the internet. I mean, I guess I was
That's not true. You guys aren't old enough. The internet sucked balls. The World Wide Web sucked balls. Okay. Bulletin boards were awesome. Where you could play games versus other people and chat with people. Okay. So bulletin boards were the first awesome thing. Then people started to get private websites and CompuServe and AOL where chat rooms were the shit.
Yeah, I remember
internet chat rooms.
I remember my AOL Instant Messenger. That was
I was on BBSs.
Right. And so those walled gardens, silos with monthly fees, high monthly fees, $30 to $50 a month, were awesome. And the internet sucked balls. Then the internet slowly over time began to get good and then outcompeted those things. But that shit took years. That had to take 5, 7 fucking years.
That's kind of my point. That isn't this what is going on right now? I mean, everyone else than Bitcoin is doing whatever they can to promote their shitcoins. Let's not call them shitcoins, but altcoins. and Bitcoin doesn't have that like a centralized advertisements company.
We're being
But
outcompeted.
in the long run, I mean, isn't it mostly a question about education and knowledge and understanding what is the true value of Bitcoin compared to, for example, some of the altcoins and ICOs and tokens and everything else that is being released right now? I mean, won't time tell which one is the actual strong and safe?
No. I'll tell you why not. Because no one uses this shit. No one uses it. Like, imagine how much use would actually have to happen in order to meet $100 billion market cap. And market cap's not even accurate, right? Because they don't count the coins that aren't released. If they did, Ethereum's worth more than Bitcoin now. Okay? M2 money supply is more accurate because this is the money supply that's available. If people actually use this shit, the best technology would win. Because people aren't using it, the best hype wins, which is why these other motherfuckers can have marketing budgets, like you said, while we're stuck in the tragedy of the commons, can't compete, can't have ads in the New York Times, New York Square, like EOS, right? And it's much harder to move this because the weight's too heavy. So if you want the market price of Bitcoin to go to 5,000, you got to find 40 billion extra dollars. But if you want a shit coin to double in price, you can fart in its general direction and the price will double. So they've got a hype advantage, a margin marketing advantage, and they've got an ease of pump advantage, which in a bull market is all anyone cares about. And when the shit hits the fan, which it eventually will, those things will fall through the fucking floor. But while the music's playing, everyone's a fucking genius, right?
Right.
And I don't think there is a solution to this tragedy of the commons.
But Bitcoin is still winning. But Bitcoin is still winning. It's still on top of the list, and it is being.
Velocity doesn't matter. If velocity matters, we're not.
No, velocity of usage does matter. We're the only one that's actually being used. Now, on a global scale, Bitcoin might not, I mean, you're right, Bitcoin may be a fart in the wind as far as global commerce, but it's a mountain compared to all of the shitcoin usage combined.
Well, usage doesn't matter is what I'm saying, right? Only price matters. Because if usage mattered, this would be a $5 million project. Because usage is so small, when it disappears, no one, oh, Alphabet shut down? Oh, some other fucking darknet market shut down? Price didn't care. Why? Because it's such a small percentage of actual utility, right?
Well,
like a person's annual drug expenditure will be $1,500. Their annual fucking get-rich-quick expenditure will be what, like 15,000, right? So like the markets come and go, price don't care, right?
No, Rich, that's fine, but now you have to combine the two. Like, even if I do take your position that if usage mattered, Bitcoin market cap would be closer to what maybe I wouldn't go as low as 5 million. I'd probably still be above 100 million, maybe close to 1 billion instead of 50 billion if Bitcoin usage actually mattered. But in that case, altcoins would all go away. Like the proportion of Bitcoin to the altcoin market would remain the same. So you're right, everything is inflated right now, but at least Bitcoin has some stability underneath for usage. I mean, there are still Bitcoin ATMs. There are still Bitcoin people in demand for Bitcoin. And the big financial players, even speculating ones, they're still more interested in Bitcoin than the rest. I mean, yeah, people like Barry Shilbert are trying to get the Ethereum ETF, but the majority of people are focused on Bitcoin ETFs. Ledger X, for example, is trying to get options into Bitcoin. They're not trying to get options in altcoin market. They're trying to follow regulations to get options. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that
it is a good thing. It is a good thing. Like I agree that it is a good thing, and I agree that Ledger X hopefully will be awesome, and I agree that the ATMs are kind of okay and worth helping hold that 3%. Yes, this should actually get used part, right? Like those are great. However, if it is true that the technology doesn't matter, which this fork holds at 5%, like it should, this fork, this terrible garbage fire fork, which is still better than most altcoins, should hold at 5% because shittier things are at 5%, right?
I agree.
And how many times this airdrop thing is going to get big now, and it's going to happen a bunch of times, and then at some point the attention economy makes it so that people really have to decide, do I want altcoins number 900 through 90,000, or an index of them, oh God, I'm sure that'll happen too. Actually, I know that'll happen because someone already mentioned it.
Already happening. It's already done.
Yeah. You know, and then at some point, Bitcoin does actually have to lose to the other people advertising with the same fucking name and logo. Same name, same logo, same software, same wallet interface, same fucking GUI. Well, you know, do you think stupid people can tell the difference? They can't, right?
But we're still here. We're still here. This channel is still around and is growing. There are still enough, you know, Bitcoin maximalists, as the haters like to call us, to continue fighting this fight without, you know, I'm already contempt. I already missed my millions with Ethereum. I already missed my millions with Steemit. I already missed my millions with Dash. And in the early days, I was kind of for Dash until I actually did some research and realized that I was an idiot. Like, I've already missed out on lots and lots of gains. And you have no idea how many people are connecting with me on LinkedIn, asking me to like help them with their ICO and offering me almost millions because they were gonna, you know, give them to me. So there are still people, you know, fighting for Bitcoin that are already contempt that we're not going to be shitcoin millionaires.
I believe that there are actual tokens that can actually exist and perform an actual service. What is an airline mile? An airline mile is a token that you can't trade with anyone else easily, but you can actually if you fight for it. And it provides affinity benefits to the company, and it provides affinity benefits to people that want to give you a reason to shop at their store, right? So an airline reward mile is a functional token that works for a lot of people and probably would be even more exciting if it were traded on a market, right? I think there are altcoin token things that can exist and have utility separate from purely financial utility, right? So I don't think every single altcoin is shit. I think most altcoins that exist are shit because it's much easier to make a shit coin than a coin that actually has utility, right? So I'm a Bitcoin maximalist for liquidity. I would love to see all the liquidity in a single place because that's how the world has operated best. Like winner takes all in currency markets does actually happen all the time, right? That's the reason the US dollar has hegemony, is because it has the most liquidity. And in currencies, liquidity is the war that is being fought. However, because of the limited adoption of Bitcoin, the liquidity isn't as important. And therefore, these tag-along pump and dump bullshits can like thrive, right? And as far as the ICO thing goes, I am designing a token and it will have utility, and it is for a supercomputing network. And if anyone wants to talk about how to design that the right way, I'm game for it, because right now, my buddy's got the best CFD software out there. It just means you like look at reality and then you put it in a computer and then you ask the computer questions and it says, oh, well, this stuff will do this. And then you can make better stuff like airplanes and jets and plasma fusion containment and all this different crap, right? So why wouldn't I want to incentivize people to build on his project? Why wouldn't I want to incentivize people to like create a supercomputer to run all that stuff? And if a token helps me do that, well, that's good, right? So I'm a Bitcoin maximalist for liquidity, but I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist for actually getting shit done in the real world. And yes, it would be great if there was less goddamn scams. So if you can make a real launch that reduces the scam density by actually getting something good done, like that marketing for Bitcoin thing, that's a great ICO. That's a great idea. Like the supercomputing project for computational fluid dynamics, that's a good idea. That makes the world a better place. All these other ones where they just give money to the fucking people that were in early, that's not making the world a better place.
All right, let me go. Sorry, go ahead. Ask a question. I was just going to intervene real quick before you ask the question, Jimmy. We are trending #1 in Google Live technology section, ahead of NASA Live. So
wow,
there you go. It's on the big screen right there.
More than NASA. Is that even?
Speculation beats science, guys, huh?
And numerous animal live shows going on. They look fairly professional. We have a larger number of viewers than all of them. You can see it right there on the screen. But go ahead, Jimmy. Go with your question.
Yeah, so I mean, we are obviously very closely watching a lot of the the ICO space. How do you distinguish one that is just rewarding the founders versus one that is actually useful? Because I mean, I'm trying to find one that's useful, and I'm having a hard time.
So two things, right? Track history. Has this person been a badass before and got good things done? And two, is this a fucking white paper fantasy, or is there something I can use, right? Mm-hmm. So apparently the Civic token, when they launched, I don't know very much about it, but they have a real app that people are really using, and they have to really use that app to get on board. Well, that's pretty neat. So the thing's already done, and you have to become a user to buy in. So everyone that bought in is a user now. Well, that's pretty fucking smart, right? That compounds, right? Like imagine if you couldn't buy Bitcoin unless you told a friend. A lot more people would be getting told about it, right?
Wait,
so people respond to incentives.
But isn't that also how pyramid schemes work? Like, I don't know if that's
they make a lot of fucking money, don't they?
Right. No, Richard, I'm sorry. For a second there, I thought you were saying that the Civic ICO was is it just a good business and PR model, or is it actually a good model for?
Oh no, it's probably a terrible piece of shit actual business.
Okay, good. Let's make that clear, because for a second there I thought you were going the other direction.
No, there's no fucking money in identity. Identity is retarded. Like there's no money in that shit. It's not. If there was money in identity, Facebook could already be selling it because they have your identity better than anyone else. Like for instance, the airdrop from Lumens uses Facebook for identity proving, or they won't give you your lumens. So it's already solved, and Facebook already solved it, and there's no fucking money in it. And when you go into a business where the product you're selling is already free, your business sucks balls, right? So unless they have a business model that's other than identity, it's like this distributed ledger technology. Database is free, works really good. It's free. So you ain't going to make no money on putting shit in the blockchain, which is a reason no one ever has. You're not going to make any money on identity, which is a reason no one ever has. Fucking blockchain's been around for 10 years, and people aren't fucking idiots in the space. Just no one wants this shit. It's bad for almost everything except currency. Blockchain is terrible for almost everything except currency. Almost everything. It's the slowest, most expensive way that you can possibly do computing. It's the opposite of vertical integration. And vertical integration is what every big company has done forever, because everything becomes cheaper and economies of scale and lowers marginal cost, right?
Yeah, good point.
King Richard Hart says, short, bullshit, long, good shit. No, just kidding. You can't do that here. No one's actually using any of these things. So you can't actually just choose the better tech, because you will lose your fucking money.
Hey guys, oh wait, sorry. One more breaking thing on the price, and I'll let you guys go off again. So this was an interesting chart someone tweeted at me, and this is what happens to the price of BCC as blocks were being mined. And you can see with each block that was mined, there was a dump of the coins dropping the price. So it looks like every time you get a block, those people, this probably has to do with confirmations. And people all of a sudden are able to trade those coins. Now, I don't know what exchange this is, because this looks like Chinese, but yeah, here's an example that people are dumping their coins the moment they are actually able to do so.
Yeah, so that
sounds good, but the price keeps coming up. I mean, this whole time we've been on chat, price went from 0.05 to 0.10.
But that makes sense, because we haven't found a block in about an hour. So once you dump it all, the selling liquidity just dries up, and then you got to wait for another block so that people have more liquidity to sell.
No, because the order book's already got orders in it. They could just shift their orders down closer to the meeting point.
No, I know, but like there's this injection of new BCC every time there is a block found.
Yeah, you're adding supply every time the block is found, because there are enough confirmations. Yeah,
a lot. Open it up for trading. Yeah.
If that were the case, we would see drops after every block +2, right? Like,
no, every block, because
let's pick a chart. Let's pick a chart and look at it, guys.
Right? No. But this is the chart I pulled up. Someone tweeted this at me. And this is what happens for 3 consecutive blocks that were found. And I think 573 was the last block that was found.
So you realize that chart just showed that the seller was fucking himself every time, right? That every time the guy dumped, it went immediately right back up. And the only guy that lost was the guy that dumped.
No, not necessarily. It's not really telling me that.
there's 3 candles going down. What do you call those? Knives?
Well,
So
no,
there's a
no,
knife
it's
after
right.
every block, and it goes right back up.
Sure,
That means the
no,
only guy getting fucked is the poor guy that dumped.
no.
And then it went right back up.
I think the people getting fucked are the people that are buying after the dump because they don't realize that there's another dump coming the moment there is another block found. It's not the guy that's selling. The guy that's selling wants this to be as high as possible because he's happy to get out. He's happy that there are idiots bringing it back up. And sooner or later, the pool of those idiots is going to go away.
You know what we need to name? We need to name this fallacy. What is the to the moon cheap coins fallacy actually called? Because I haven't found it, right? But like that shifting of perspective, the shifting of frame, that nothing bad can ever happen. This is good for Bitcoin. We're going to the moon. Price is down, cheap coins. Like it's logic breaking, but I don't know which. Like I've memorized all the fallacies, and I am not particularly sure what that frame shifting fallacy is. Actually, I am sure, and actually that is what it is. That is the frame shifting fallacy. And you can't say cheap coins and to the moon are equally good, and it's wrong, right? So you can't say that the guy selling his coins is happy to have insta-dumped them too quickly and received less than he could have when the vast majority of the time on the chart is at a higher price. Like,
well, not everyone is trying to maximize the return on like Bitcoin Cash. They're just happy to get whatever they want. I mean, and you know that may be sort of like a perfectly rational trader. That's what they would do is like dump a little bit at a time to maximize like what your dollar cost average of the sell was. But I think for a lot of people, and that's what this chart shows, is that a lot of people just want to get rid of it and be done with, and that's I think what Tone is showing. But anyway, just a quick thing. I am noticing that Poloniex is not up, and people are sort of speculating on what's happening. There is a tweet from Bamboo Club on Twitter, and apparently there's a 4chan post of an ex-Poloniex mod that says that they are doing an exit scam as we speak. We don't know if that's true or not, but it's just a rumor.
Yeah, and yes, Jimmy, we talked about this tweet a little bit earlier before you came back online. So yeah, this was discussed, but the rumor that anytime anything goes down, the assumption is that there is an exit scam involved.
And why wouldn't you think that? Because a lot of Bitcoin things have done exactly that, no?
Lately it's not exit scamming, it's kill yourself in a Thai prison scamming, isn't it? I mean, most of the shit getting shut down these days isn't getting shut down voluntarily.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Big Bad Wolf is coming to eat the noobs.
So this may take some time. Okay, all right, so fine. But people are wondering about what Poloniex is doing, and
yeah,
what's happening.
It looks like they are still down. I mean, if Poloniex never comes back up, there will be complete massacre in the altcoin market.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it will. Like BTC went down, and that was fucking gigantic exchange. No, weren't they like top 5? They went away, and nothing happened.
Which
BTC,
one? Oh, yeah.
They disappeared, and nothing fucking happened. So, like, here's the thing, right? Earlier today, we were arguing about, is the price on HIT BTC going to go up to match the rest of the market, or is the rest of the market going to come down? And the price on HIT BTC went up.
They're meeting in the middle. They're meeting in the middle.
Yeah, I guess. But that doesn't make sense either, because the volume should have made that different as well, right? Like the stronger volume should have pulled harder than the weaker volume, right? So they shouldn't have met in the middle. Yeah, if they did meet in the middle, it means that this weaker volume one was actually more accurate, because they were less wrong per dollar. The giant liquidity ones that were higher were more wrong per dollar. So they shouldn't have met in the middle, because this exchange was so much smaller. So when shit gets seized, you can't sell coins you can't access. And when shit gets seized, you can't buy coins with cash you had there. So unless you know the ratio of coins to cash on that exchange and the propensity of people holding those to utilize it in the coin that you care about, you can't say shit regarding the disappearance of exchange effect on price. Because if the exchange held mostly coins and it got seized, that's positive for price because now they can't get dumped.
Well,
If the exchange held mostly cash and it was going to be utilized to purchase coins, well, then it's kind of bearish, right? So the exchange is disappearing doesn't have an effect on price, or BTC would have.
Well, no, I wasn't actually talking from a standpoint of price necessarily, just quasi, because if something like Poloniex disappears, there will be, I mean, I'm sure enough stupid people will come back, but once it disappears, there will be a lot of people less interested in trading altcoins, at least for a while that information settles in. Like, for example, there'll be a way more Bitcoin maximalists out there hodling, like most of us here on this show, as opposed to trading to get more Bitcoin. Like, for example, if you've been trading on Poloniex for the last couple of years and you think you're sitting on 2x your Bitcoin position or more, and all of that gets wiped out, you're not going to be in a rush to start trading again on Bittrex because it'll probably happen to you again. Like, people didn't learn their lesson when Crypto disappeared. They probably aren't going to learn their lesson when BTCE disappeared. Sooner or later, people are going to learn their lesson that none of these altcoin exchanges are safe, and they're going to just give up on trading these shit coins for the exchange risk.
No, they won't. So you can't convince stupid people to stop being stupid. These people want to fucking gamble, and these degenerate gamblers are going to fucking shove their money wherever you let them. So whether this place shuts down or not, they ain't taking your advice. They're not taking my advice. I did my best. I did my best to shit talk this fork. I did my best to shit talk Ethereum. No one gives a fuck. They're dying to throw their money away. And while the music's playing, they're doing great, right? It's like I said, they're going to mush up 10 people. There's 10 people. 9 of them are going to lose everything, and one guy's going to do really good. That guy's going to get 10x money, and then there's 10 or 20% overhead to the game, right? The exchanges and all that shit. By the way, if you're not going to take my advice, which I'm sure you're not, and just fucking hold, right? The gains are already big enough. The multiples are already big enough. Don't try and be smarter than everyone else that's got better knowledge and is faster and more technically adept than you. If you're not going to take my advice and hold, then at least use leverage. Because if there's exit scams and if there's exchanges stealing money, would you rather they have all of your money, like what Tone just described, where, you know, you've been leaving your winnings in there and just leaving them gain and whatever, right? Or would you rather use leverage and they get 10 times less, right? So if you use leverage, you don't put as much risk into these fucking security failure. Every Bitcoin exchange is getting hacked, period, by the way. Every single Bitcoin exchange is getting hacked. It is a rule of life because you cannot be secure enough. 0 days exist. That means 0 day means no one has the solution for this. We just discovered it's a problem. No solution exists. People pay 15, 20 grand for their 0 day and they execute it on whoever the fuck they want, right? People put malware on USB sticks and put them in the stores around the exchange. And then when the guy at the exchange goes to buy a USB stick from fucking Best Buy, it's already got malware on it. That's how fucking much the hacking goes on, right? So if you have money on an exchange, that shit is going to get stolen. And if you can reduce the amount that's at risk on the exchange by using leverage, well, you shouldn't be trading at all. You should be holding. But if you're going to trade, use leverage so that you lose less in an exit scam.
And I agree with that, actually. I remember saying that back in the day as well. You know, you trade at max leverage to lower your exchange risk, exposure. But it's so much harder to trade with leverage. You get whipped around. There's way more manipulation. And like, my price analysis does not apply to leverage. It only applies to base positions. Like, I wouldn't even know how to analyze when you're factoring in leverage because everything
they're all the same trades. You just have 10 times less collateral. It's all the same trades. You just have 10 times less collateral.
Yeah.
So you can get stopped out quicker.
Yeah.
So you basically, if you don't
have to call it right,
volatility, like if you guess the volatility wrong, you get stopped out at a loss, right? But look, you could get fat fingered at fucking at GDAX too, right? Everyone got wiped out of their stop losses at like 0.01 or whatever on the fat finger day at Ethereum. You guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
So everyone gets fat fingered in this market, right? Some asshole goes in there and bids so deep into the order book that it empties the order book, and then everyone's stop losses get executed at fucking like 0, and it just wipes out everyone's money. So even if you had a good estimate of the volatility, you can still get wiped out. Even if you trade without leverage, you can still get wiped out, right? Like if you have margin or leverage, you can get wiped out. If you don't have either of those and you just hold it raw, like, by the way, whose stupid fucking advice was it to take out a short and a long position at the same time to get free BCC? You would have got free BCC leaving the fucking money sitting in your own wallet at home, right? True. Or in your safe deposit box, or in your multi-sig, or in your Trezor, whatever your fucking thing is. Why would you why would you put yourself exposed to counterparty risk just to get the same BCC they would have given you in your fucking paper wallet? It's the dumbest advice I've ever seen. Like I have no idea why that shit was so popular, but we saw it. I mean, we saw a guy had 20K on exchange waiting for his 20K worth of BCC. Well, why? You could have left that shit at home. You didn't have to have it on exchange. It doesn't make any sense to me. And not to mention, if you had to spread that across like that guy's probably got an account on every exchange, right? That guy's probably got like 20,000 coins on like fucking 6 exchanges or something. Yeah, Wouldn't you love to know who that guy was? No, I would.
There's a big difference between holding on to that 20K and splitting it on your own versus handing it over to the exchange before August 1st. Because those that handed it over to the exchange before August 1st are the ones that are able to trade on exchanges like Nova, like we have on right now with us today, and Kraken and others. Meanwhile, if you held that 20,000 at home, you cannot get that BCC into Kraken right now in order to sell it.
Right, but let me tell you why. Yes, you're kind of right, but as always, the fucking thin order books and slippage is the reason you're not right, because you can shove your 20,000 BCC up your ass because you can't sell it without taking the market to fucking 0, right? So like having 20,000 BCC on any exchange is very fucking stupid, because ain't no one can eat that without driving the order book to 0, right? So there's no intelligent human being in the world should ever have 20,000 BTC on an exchange ever at all, because you will get exit scammed, and the market can't hold that kind of sell order anyway. Unless you're trying to be like spoofy and like show the order every once in a while. And let me tell you something, if you show an order every once in a while, sometimes other bigger fish will come and eat that fucking order, and you'll be sitting there like, oh no.
Well, I agree.
But I wanted to push the price down, and now I'm long now. Oh no. Like, you know, if you have 20,000 BTC on exchange, you're an asshole, is my opinion. And you're rich. Be my friend. If you have 20,000 BTC on exchange, please text me. We'll launch the fucking the marketing for Bitcoin fucking thing.
All right, guys. I was gonna actually call it a day. I don't know if I will do my own Bitcoin, my normal economic show that I do on Wednesday. We just did this live stream. I've been at it all day. I have a bunch of email to go through. I know I have some private consulting clients that I set up for today. So please hit me up. I have to reorganize. I was gonna get going. I am the moderator of this, so I'm not sure what happens if
can I make another mention?
Yeah.
Can I make another point?
Go for it.
So there's this thing in economics called a Schelling point, and a Schelling point, SCHELL, is where if you're in New York and you get lost and you have to meet up with your friends and you can't communicate with each other, and they're in New York and they're lost and they have to meet up with you, and they don't know what you'll do, you both guess what you both would do. And everyone that's posed this question meets in Central Station at noon. Grand Central Station at noon is like everyone's answer. And so that common cultural agreement on guessing what other people will guess, like a Keynesian beauty contest, that shit is the reason we're at 0.10 right now. There's no technical reason we're at 0.10. There's no hashing reason we're at 0.10. We're at 0.10 because it's a human Schelling point that people just fucking agree on, right? I think that's the reason that it felt like earlier today Bitcoin wanted to hang around 2750, because people figured, maybe this new coin's worth 10% and 3,000's a peak, so we'll just knock a nice, 10% off there. What's $3,000 minus about 10%? It's about 2,700, 2,750. Okay, that feels about right. So you're trading against humans, right? You're not trading against machines. And then you look at the order book, right? The order book has all these nice 50s and 100s on it. Well, that's because humans are placing these fucking orders manually with emotion, right? So, yeah, I just thought it was interesting how human locking and anchoring to certain points affects the order book and affects what the markets do.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's a good point. Thank you, Rich. What do we want to do? Do we want to cut the live stream and then maybe come on in the evening if something happens? Anybody else want to get it going? Because I will be tuning out. Thomas, what do you think? Have everyone say their closing statements? Nope, can't hear you.
How about now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, maybe unless there's questions in the chat. How are we doing on viewers? Everyone give us a thumbs up and a subscribe down below.
We're at the high. I mean, we're at 1,750, which is a big drop from yesterday, but this is the highest I've seen all day on this 2-3 hours.
It's the second highest ever. So I mean, we can't.
Right, it's the second
Right,
highest ever.
Okay,
we're at the high for the day.
Second highest ever. Let's give Tone a break. Tone, you get out of here, do something else. Or actually, I don't know if you can. Maybe leave the chat open since I'm
right.
MadBitcoins. So I don't know, just video mute yourself and do something else, and then maybe we'll do some questions from the chat, and then we'll wrap this up. Not that long, maybe like 15 minutes, half an hour, guys. Good.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, Tone. Okay, so hopefully the show's going to go on auto camera. This might be one of those crazy points where the camera gets stuck on somebody. We're going to hope that doesn't happen, but we're not directly in control.
Well, I'm still kind of here, but once I see everything going well, I am going to take off the headphones.
As long as it's on floating camera and we just mute ourselves when we're not talking, that should be all good. So now we're going to continue talking to Richard. Do you guys have some questions for Richard? I'm seeing the chat scrolling by. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. Richard, what we were talking about, I saw in the chat that you might discuss the Federal Reserve soon. So I wanted to come back for that.
Okay. Well, the Federal Reserve is like a really bad.
I'm not a fan either. Not a fan.
Oh God, I've been defending it. I have to get going. So this is probably a good time. I'm not gonna take the opposite side of Richard this time. I'm not a fan of the Fed, but I kind of understand. So I kind of take that alternate position, but I won't do it this time. But Rich, whatever you say. You and I, maybe we'll talk about it on a different podcast. Right. On this note, there is a floating camera. My headphones are coming off, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
See you, Tom.
Good talking to you, man. So here's the problem, right? What's better, chicken or steak? Well, have you just eaten chicken 10 meals?
Before World War II, definitely chicken. After World War II, steak.
There you go, right? Chicken in every pot used to be exotic, just like lobster used to be fed to prisoners, and now things have flipped, right? So lobster is now great, used to suck. Chicken used to be great, now more common. So the reason I mention this is, would you prefer a boom-bust cycle where you get a little bit more gains, but you have to endure periods of suck, or would you prefer more of a nice, even rise? And so people that are already rich, they don't mind the boom-bust because the busts don't hurt that much. But people that actually work for a living, the busts are a fucking nightmare. And so Federal Reserve fiat currency increases efficiency in a society by enhancing boom bust and making it worse and more volatile, but you get a little bit more gains at the cost of human psychology. So you get more monetary numerical gains at a cost of human feeling loss. However, a more intelligent thing to do is cut off the bottoms, cut off the tops, mush them into the middle, give everyone a little bit less gain, but a hell of a lot less drop, and that's better for the human. So overall, we should have higher interest rates. We should have less boom and bust. We should have a little bit less speculation so that everyone can have less terrible, feel like killing yourself times, right? And then, less, oh my God, what do I do with all this money times, and more of a gradual increase. So I'm anti a lot of the cheap money.
I thought that's what we were supposed to get with the Fed, that we were in that boom and bust cycle, and the Fed was going to smooth us out, and less boom, less bust, everything cool, right?
No, that doesn't work, right? It's like Donald Trump when you elected him. Here's a guy that's never worked a day in his life, who was a Democrat until a year ago when he decided to flip on everything he ever believed to win the nomination. Paid the Clintons, had the Clintons at his wedding, was a Democrat his whole life, a New York billionaire Democrat. Do you really think that guy gives a fuck about you? He doesn't give a fuck about you, which is the reason he doesn't support charity like other guys, which is the reason he doesn't, have friends that aren't billionaires, which is the reason he doesn't play man sports like fucking football right? Or physical fucking things. He's a rich guy that sits in a fucking throne someplace where you can never get him, see him, talk to him, interact with him. But he puts on a good show. He puts on a good act, right? Well, it's the same with everyone at the Federal Reserve. All their friends are rich guys. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't even know what neighborhood you live in, right? So it's the same with immigration stuff. All these people that let every immigrant in the world come in, they've never actually met a couple. They've never had the shit kicked out of them and realized that neighborhoods can go from good to bad, right? So your decision making is based on the bubble you're in. And the Federal Reserve bubble is a bubble of rich motherfuckers that don't care about poor people. And the government bubble is mostly a bunch of rich motherfuckers that don't care about poor people. And by poor, I just mean like, you know, you own one car, right? It's not even really poor, but fuck, like most of America doesn't have $2,500 in savings. Like 80% of America doesn't have $2,500 in savings. Well, if the people that control you and run the businesses and teach you and hire you all live in bubbles apart from you, they can't really give that too much of a fuck about you because they don't know that much about you. So the Federal Reserve doesn't care about you. They care about companies and the numbers. Personally, they don't give a shit.
How can Bitcoin relate to this? How can Bitcoin help and solve this solution?
Well, if you remove humans from setting monetary policy, then it drives interest rates up because this shit doesn't grow on trees. You have to mine it, and it's really expensive, right? So Bitcoin removes human intervention in a market for the language of value. It also, if fully adopted, remove exchange fees and exchange rates, right? Like, wouldn't it suck if when you sent someone an email, you had to pay a fee to exchange it into an email format they understood? That's terrible, right? Wouldn't it suck if you got like a gift card from one place and didn't have what you want and you had to pay a huge fee to exchange it for some other gift card that you did want, right? Every time you don't speak a common language, doesn't it suck that when you want to do business in China, they can't fucking speak English, so you can't get anything done? Their salespeople don't even speak English. These are the people that are supposed to be selling you shit. They can't do it. Language barriers and trade barriers, tariffs, exchange rates, multiple currencies, they all have the same friction costs which harm humanity. If we could all speak one language, use one currency with a reasonable rate of issuance, which Bitcoin has, right? We'd have less boom and bust, and we'd have more productivity. And we'd also have a lot of grandmothers with bad OPSEC getting wrecked and losing everything. So
well, and that's what this Bitcoin Cash fork thing kind of feels like. I mean, I'm getting a free laptop, but I also kind of exposed how much money I have. I moved my money around several times, which may prove at a risk to me. I may be hacked, and this may happen to other people as well. I definitely did. But I still, like, now there's a pointer saying that I have a small amount of funds. So it's too bad. But you know, I'm willing to take these risks to get the free laptop. And also I have the FOMO. You're giving me the FOMO now, Richard, because you're in my head. So I got this Richard going, you could have gotten 2 or 3 laptops if you'd waited half an hour. But that's cool. I'm willing to take that. I'm a reasonable person. I only need 1 laptop. Actually, I haven't. My old one's not that bad. Maybe I'll have 2.
You want me to make you feel really bad? I'm going to make you feel really bad. Next year, when Bitcoin's quadrupled and you realize that you bought like a $10,000 laptop, you're going to feel like a real asshole, huh?
If the Bitcoin Cash thing keeps going up?
No, Bitcoin itself. You could have bought normal Bitcoin instead of a laptop. So as a holder,
no, I won't think about that. I love laptops. I'm never gonna feel bad if I buy a laptop. I'm not concerned at all. I use it every day. It's like shoes. So no, I'll be like, oh, laptop's still here. Only way I feel bad if someone takes the laptop away. Otherwise, I'm fine.
Dude, why don't we take questions? Why don't we take a question from whoever hates me the most? I want to entertain some fucking shit fest over here.
We do have a mix in there. I would like to see some of the super chat questions if they want to pay us to answer a negative question. That I always enjoy that. But let's see. I saw someone earlier. They wanted to talk about leverage. Do you want to just give them a basic idea of leverage? Not too much. I know that it could go on for a while, but just a real basic leverage.
So leverage just means. So leverage is like, let's say you bought a coin on an exchange. You gave them $10. They gave you $10 worth of Bitcoin, you withdraw it, you're done, right? But what if you wanted to accept a lot of risk and you wanted to leave the money on the exchange, hoping that it didn't get stole or shut down or exit scammed. Those are your 3 threat models: exit scammed, hacked, and shut down. Those are your 3 threats for an exchange. Or you don't know how to use it right and fuck up and sell deep into the book when you didn't have to. But you're probably not selling deep into a book because you probably don't have much money. So if you, instead of doing that, want to just send $1 and buy a long contract, a long position, which allows you to have $10 that you're actually trading. So it just amplifies your losses 10 times. It amplifies your gains 10 times and amplifies your losses 10 times, right? So if you send in $10 and you buy 1 Bitcoin, you let it sit there. Okay, well then if Bitcoin goes up $1, you got $1 more. Bitcoin goes up $2, you've got $2. But if you use leverage, you send in only $1 instead of 10, and you use 10x leverage. Now, if the Bitcoin goes up $1, you lose $10, right? Which would empty your account. You'd be emptied, right? So the point is, you can use an exchange that offers you leverage and give them 10 to 100 times less money. And so if you send them $1 at 100x, if Bitcoin moves up $1, you gain 100. If it goes down $1, you lose 100. But there's fees, right? And sometimes that market separates from the underlying index, and they charge you like a daily rate, right? So if you're on Polo and you want to short Bitcoin and make $1 every time Bitcoin goes down $1, well then you need to pay a fee. And I hear it was 5%. Because there was nothing lending out, because everyone wanted to hold it to get their free BCC. So no one wanted to lend it, right? Which was smart. The people that lent it at 5% lost money because they didn't get the free 10% everyone got right now. Right now, BCC is worth 10% of a Bitcoin. And so lending it for a day at 5% is stupid compared to holding it for that day. And now you've got a free 10%, right? So in summary, you can, instead of holding 10 Bitcoins at home, you could put 1 Bitcoin on an exchange and have the same up-down, the same 10 units of energy going up or down. But you could get exit scammed. You could fuck up using the system. The exchange could get shut down, and you could get stopped out of your position, right? So if the amount of money you have there to secure your position is too low, you get wiped out, and then you don't get back in. But if you held the real thing and the price goes down, you're not wiped out. You still have the real thing. It can still go back up, right? So it's always safer to just hold the real thing, because you can never get wiped out, right? You still have the thing, and the thing still has some value. Crypto never goes to zero. But if you're trading on an exchange and the market moves against you, you just get wiped out and you never get to go back up. So it's riskier. You shouldn't hold. You should hold. You shouldn't trade. I probably shouldn't have answered your leverage question.
It does sound very complicated, and it is much more risky. What do you think about the Poloniex system? Poloniex is down right now. Will that dump the market? Will Bitcoin dump? It's probably just a technical problem with all the extra trading. It's probably not the government. I'll go Richard and then Linus. Let's hear from Linus.
Well, yeah, Linus, go ahead.
No, I was just actually asking. I have a contact on the Poloniex stuff that just replied the same thing like they tweeted out. He didn't know any more technical details, but just saying we're aware of the connectivity issues and we are working to resolve them. All hands are on deck and it should be resolved soon. Apologize for the inconvenience. So it's just the same thing like they are saying, and I actually trust this guy, so I would say it's just a technical issue. Someone was also saying this group something about a fiber connection that had an issue at the moment. I mean, like a connectivity issue could be caused by external thing, like a broken connection between some nodes or whatever. I don't know, but I think it's a technical issue. I don't think it's any kind of, I mean, definitely not the exit scam or anything like that. Not Poloniex, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's likely just a problem with their servers. Let's see, moving on to the other questions. We had a question for Richard. Do you think that anarcho-capitalism can work, or are people too stupid? And maybe even just what's anarcho-capitalism? Like anarchist capitalism, no government?
Here's
try
what's
to
going to
break
happen.
these libertarian words down. So
Yeah, here's what's going to happen, right? we all started as anarchists, right? There wasn't cities. We just fucking roamed around, right? But then because cities were so awesome, we built them. And now because they're so awesome, we choose to live in them and pack right next to each other. There's no overcrowding in this world. The world's fucking empty. It's all empty. But we choose to, because it's better, stack on top of each other. Food's better, shopping's better, selection of mates is better. Everything's goddamn better, right? So people live in the cities. Unless, you love nature, then great. But you're in the minority. So for the same reasons that we went from being anarchists into cities is the same reason that all of the shit that was discovered in the normal world will be rediscovered in the crypto world. So every single control structure and power structure that already exists that you fucking hate, that you're like separating from to get away from, will be recreated here, right? You hate PayPal, PayPal sucks, right? Guess what? There's going to be a Bitcoin PayPal and they're going to do great because people hate getting scammed and that shit shuts a lot of scams down. And so it's worth 3% PayPal fee to lose 6% of scam or 15% of scam, right? So PayPal is actually a good deal and you're going to have a Bitcoin PayPal. And you know what? We don't like courts coming down on our rights, man. Guess what? There was a time before courts. Turns out they're awesome. Then we made them. You're going to have Bitcoin fucking court. Everything that you guys hate, you're going to discover emerged for some reason that you forgot about. And then you get reminded, right? Like for instance, this little fork we just had. People don't give a fuck about hash rate because there hasn't been any attacks. But after some time, there will be an attack. And then people go, oh shit, hash rate matters, right? And people don't care about decentralization, right? Like the Ethereum Foundation. Oh, it's all good. We'll just roll back the chain. And it doesn't matter now, but one day it will fucking matter. And then they'll care again, right? So my point is that the reality that we live in now emerged from what came before. The disorder brought order, and it will happen again in this system. The same entities that combined and re-vertically integrated. Bitcoin companies keep vertically integrating because it's so effective and destroying the decentralization for the same reasons it happened all those other times. So anarcho-capitalism, it's fun, fuck around with it, but you will watch it mutate into all the other shit that preceded it for the same reasons that other shit became what it did.
Well, I've definitely noticed that with Bitcoin companies. We give them this incredible decentralized Bitcoin, and their first instinct is to centralize it and put it on their servers and make a bunch of their own rules about how to send it around, usually put it in one large pile, maybe a little bit of cold storage, that kind of thing. But do you really see Bitcoin catching on? Can we make all these changes that you're saying? Will it be better if we have a Bitcoin court, or is it just more of the same?
I think that peer-to-peer value transfer is speech. And if corporate speech has been protected in the United States for influencing votes with Citizens United Supreme Court decision, then to some degree, your ability to transact freely and openly is a right of association, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. We are just moving data, right? We are just moving zeros and ones. This shit doesn't even touch the physical world unless you want to count electrons, right? Or I guess the storage device, the magnetic storage as well, which kind of is electronic based. So I think that digital currency is speech, and I think it should be protected as speech. And I am not a fan of meta law enforcement where you don't actually, like victimless crimes, not a real fan. Right? Go hire more investigators and do real law enforcement. Don't do this meta bullshit, right? Like, oh, you stole money? Well, there's an extra penalty because money was involved. Well, yeah, but like what thing gets stolen that doesn't have a monetary value? Like all you did was just modify all the sentences by an upwards of 20% because you invented a new crime, right? Like, anyway.
Well, this is great. And I think I kind of know where you're going. I was reading this book the other day by Sam Harris. I just found it's called Free Will. And one of the things that Sam Harris was saying is that he's not too different from a murderer. A murderer had certain psychological conditions based upon him. He was raised a certain way and he became a murderer. And if Sam can realize that he's not too different from a murderer, and I'm not too different from a murderer, there's hardly any difference between any of us except for what's happened to us in the past and the way that everything's connected.
Yeah, Sam's wrong. So I like the vast majority of what Sam has to say about things.
I
But
usually
in this-
do too. He is on a different tangent here from his normal religious work or anti-religious work, however you want to say
So
it.
for instance, like Jordan Peterson's right about almost everything except for the religious thing. And Sam Harris is right about almost everything except the free will thing. So Daniel Dennett is right. Sam Harris is wrong regarding free will. And Jordan Peterson's right about all the SJW shit, but wrong about the importance of winning the game of games, optimizing for an outcome, and the best strategy is a religious one. That shit's stupid. There's some
I have
benefits.
definitely been checking out Jordan Peterson recently as well. He's good stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely much more net win than he is cost. And, like I support Jordan Peterson. I support Sam Harris. I support Daniel Dennett. I think they're all awesome, super intelligent, great fucking guys. I could tell you specifically why Sam is wrong about free will. I'll give you an example. Okay. Well, first let's look at the markets, because I don't think anyone actually gives a shit about anything but the crypto. Let me give you the market rundown, boys. Bittrex 0.26. Don't know why it's trading at a premium. Finex 0.13. You can't deposit BCC either of these places. I think, what is it? Hit bits at 0.10. I guess they equalized out. Nova Exchange, they don't have any volume yet. They're at what? What are these guys at?
Talking about Bitcoin Cash, it's 0.24, 0.26.
Right.
Spread.
So Nova Exchange and Trex are tied, and Finex is half, and HitBC is like half minus 20%.
And meanwhile, I can't decide between a refurbished MacBook or maybe just go for one of the new models.
Don't get a Mac, dude.
I love Macs. Come on.
Oh my God. All right. I don't ever want to play a video game. Good. That's good.
That's
Max,
fine.
stop video games.
That's fine.
BTC's dumping pretty rough. I think since we've been in this call, it's dropped $100, $50, $70. How long have we been on this call?
Seems like a few hours. It seems like the BCH is at 265. Bitcoin is at 2670.
All right. So back to free will, right? Let's say we're on a simulation. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Great. I want my simulation to be better. Hey, let's say we're in a simulation of a simulation of a simulation of a simulation. Who gives a fuck? Why would I care, right? Oh, you have a rough upbringing. And so what? Right? You have to be personally responsible even if you're not. It's like getting into a car accident. If you get rear-ended by another car, is it your fault? You could say no. But let me ask you, could you have driven at a different time? Could you have driven a larger vehicle? Could you have been watching your rearview mirror? Could you have yellow lights on your car? Could you have strobe lights on your car? Could you have taken a bicycle? I could give you like 50 things you could do to not get rear-ended. And so you have to ask yourself a question. Would you rather be a winner and take responsibility for shit that's not really your fault, but you can change and make better? Or would you rather be accurate and getting run into all the time because it's out of your control? So are you influenced by marketing? Yes. Are you influenced by your past? Yes. Are you influenced by how hot the temperature is? Yep. But should it matter? No. You should still do the right things because you can. So even though the marketing is the real reason that you want a Coca-Cola, you should not have the Coca-Cola and not have your teeth rot and not waste the dollar and not get fat. Fuck the Coca-Cola. Right? Fuck the marketing. Fuck your family that's been shoving Coke down your throat your whole life. Choose not to drink it because it's better not to drink it. It's better to drink water. Right? So he's accurate in that we're all influenced by a million things, but he's inaccurate that we should care. We shouldn't care. And we shouldn't not only care personally, you should take personal responsibility because it works and makes you more powerful, but we also shouldn't care culturally, except for things that are outside the person's control, such as mental illness and addiction, right? Those two things are outside the person's control, and therefore you don't have an improvement in their performance by penalizing them. But for things that are inside their control, you will get improvements in performance by penalizing them. I had this argument once with somebody. I said, you know, I don't think the death penalty really works because people don't think they're going to get caught anyway. And he goes, oh, okay, well, how come there's no crime in Saudi Arabia? And I was like, oh, shit, I guess I was wrong. That was a short one. So people do respond to incentives. Oops.
It's tough to say. There's a lot of different religious issues. How come police officers in England don't carry guns? There's different societal issues. I mean, it's
other criminals are pussies. In America, you pull someone over that you immediately start getting shot at. In Britain, if you pull someone over, you're not getting shot at. So the reason the police in the United States are so much harsher is because the criminals in the United States are so much harsher. If the criminals would draw down, the police would draw down.
And of course, in Australia, they banned guns, and they haven't had hardly any murders yet. I mean, it's been really good, I think.
Yeah, and it worked, right? You know, like all these countries with fucking socialized healthcare have better health. Whoa, who knew? You know, all these countries without guns, and I love guns. I used to do IPSC shooting, like scenario shooting. Like, I like guns a lot, but I know that if I could give mine up and everyone else would too, it would be a better deal for everyone.
We are starting to see. Go ahead, Linus.
Yeah, I was just saying it would be more like Sweden. No
Yeah,
guns,
you guys have...
no policemen with guns, no militaries with guns almost.
I've seen some interesting videos of your girl cops getting the shit beat out of them by some cultural enrichers, though, man. You guys got everything right over there except the get rid of your own culture slowly thing. Here's an interesting fact.
What's going on that?
Here's an interesting fact. If you get refugees into your country, the refugees are normally not a problem, but their kids, for some reason, their kids fuck you up. So the Tsarnaev brothers that blew up the Boston bombing, their parents were refugees. That guy that blew up that kids rock and roll show in the UK, his parents were refugees. So refugees themselves seem to be okay, but the children of refugees seem to wreck shit. And it's interesting, that timing problem. Remember how I told you the boom bust cycle?
Do you think it's a failure of the new culture to adapt the refugees, or do you think it's a strength of the old culture that it survives even through an attempted adaptation?
Personal responsibility. It is not the job of the culture to acclimate you. It is your job to become acclimated. It is not the job of the culture to shove knowledge down your throat. It is your job to learn. It is not the job of the culture to fucking make the language so appeasing to you. You know, like, personal responsibility matters. And in the countries those people came from, personal responsibility is looked upon even more harshly because they will kill the shit out of you for any number of smaller infractions. So they came from a harsher, more personally responsible place into a weaker place. So there's not any excuse for them to act irresponsible.
Meanwhile, I think a lot of people are waiting for the new block of Bitcoin Cash. It looks like the price is around $300 on Hit BTC. What do you guys think?
I'm about to log off soon, so I was just wondering one thing, and I would like to ask both of you. Was this Bitcoin Cash kind of the best thing that could happen in circumstances about big blockers wanting to have some kind of coin similar to Bitcoin with large blocks? They did not get the name Bitcoin. They found an alternative coin with alternative ticker or symbol, regardless if it's BCC or BCH or whatever. They have another name, Bitcoin Cash, which is, I mean, not that much confusing, actually. There is several hundreds of Bitcoins already, like Bitcoin Dark or Bitcoin this and that. So just a question for both of you. Wasn't this kind of the best big blockers to shut up?
You want me to answer that, or you want to take it?
I'll give it a shot, and then I'll give it to Richard. Let's see. So, I mean, I think the best option is if we stay together. I think we're weaker separate. Their hash power is lower. Our hash power is lower. If I want to even identify with Bitcoin, but I don't know. I think it sets a horrible precedent for the future. Everyone's going to be doing this. I feel like this is the new ICO. except they gave me free chips this time. And if giving me free chips gets me into the new ICO, this is a model that will be repeated over and over again. Technologically, I'm not sure how the big blocks are going to turn out. I'm not sure who's going to upkeep the code on this network. I suppose if they raise enough funds, they could hire the right kind of coders. I'm not entirely sure, but that's mainly what I'd look for. So, Richard, what do you think? Was this the best possible fork?
I did everything I could to shit talk this thing. And I will do round 2 shit talking the 2x thing as well. However, as I said, no one gives a fuck. They're going to do their thing anyway. They don't care what you have to say so much. So I think this is actually fantastic. I think that the looming threat of a split that people cared about is now totally gone, because it turns out the split drives the price of both up. And it should, because there's actually more value now. We have another experiment that might work out. We have a lower price point that people will be able to buy into single units cheaper, right? So you don't have to buy point whatever of something. You could actually buy this other thing at a lower point. We have another launch model that will drive money into BTC instead of ETH, right? So all these ERC20 tokens are taking all of the new money because that's where all of the pumping is. Whereas if there's a reason to use Bitcoin airdrops instead of ERC20 tokens, that's way fucking better for Bitcoin, right? If you had Ethereum, guess what free shit you got this week? Nothing. If you had Bitcoin, guess what free shit you get this week? You got your Byteball drop in a couple days. You got your BTX, whatever the fuck that is, nothing coin. You got your free 10% free money today because you were a Bitcoin holder. So I don't mind there being 50 startups that drop free money to everyone that's already got Bitcoins, because that's a lot better than 50 startups that take Bitcoiners' money into some fucking shit exchange where it gets lost, into some shit startup where it gets lost, into a hacked ERC20 token. It's definitely the better of those two worlds. Airdrop beats ICO for safety, security, instant onboarding of a shitload of people, wallet software that's tested, easy integration into exchanges. I guess ERC20 has that. Much easier integration into ATMs, which I'll tell you don't matter, but people that think that actual usage matters, there you go, actual usage, right? So even though I did everything I could to stop this, it's actually quite good. And I'm going to turn down the shit talking a little bit on French Bro. I'm going to turn down the shit talking a little bit on Roger Ver, which, by the way, though he be a drama queen, he has done a lot of shit for Bitcoin. And, you know, all these guys that have gone a little crazy and lost it, we wouldn't be where we are today without them. So I honor their intention that they want to do the best thing for the coin. I honor the good work that they've done in the past. I just have to reject the crazy a little bit now. And there's a chance they may decrazify and they may, you know, come back around to be insane again. I guess I can't remember an instance where that's happened, but I'm going to leave open the possibility and leave that olive branch out there that anyone that's gone fucking wild might come back.
Now, what about the marketing problem? What about the confusion of there being Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash? Is this going to be a problem?
I think everyone that's listening to this shit that we're on right now, this little chat we're having, they're balls deep, all in already. I think their mind's made up. I don't think they're flipping to some bullshit coin. I think the people that are long BTC are staying long. And I really don't think that us waffling on about the technical merits of this, that, or the other thing are really going to make much of a difference, because the people that need to hear this shit aren't on this chat. If you're smart enough to get on this chat and listen to my voice and the other great people of the World Crypto Network, if you're smart enough to get here, you're not the one that needs our help. People that need to hear about the security hole that exchanges are, and the security hole of attack service that ETH is, and the rehypothecation, all these other, like all this shit, the people that need to hear that are the people that have USD and fiat now and are going to put it the wrong place. But we don't have access to those people, and they don't follow me. So, I mean, as fun as it is to say these smart, good things here amongst friends, it's not really reaching the people that need it.
It's a good point. We are talking to the crowd a lot. Go ahead, Linus.
I think it's a problem of the name. That's one of my points, that I thought the big blockers would actually be fighting over the real name of Bitcoin, and that would have been a problem. Now they were satisfied with a ordinary altcoin that just have the shared history of Bitcoin blockchain, but with another name, another ticker. I feel like this was the best for Bitcoin because the big blockers were satisfied with something totally different, an altcoin with a different name. I just made a quick search on our exchange of Bitcoin. I find 12 altcoins. Actually, one of them is Bitcoin. So 11 altcoins with the word Bitcoin as a part of the altcoin name. One of them. I mean, Bitcoin Cash is just one. We have Bitcoin Fast, Bitcoin Dark, Bitcoin Hashcore. I don't know what all of these are, but I mean, of several thousands of altcoins out there, and I'm very happy they are not trying to claim the real name of Bitcoin and the real ticker of BTC.
All right, and I think we've got time today for just one more opinion. Theo Goodman, are you with us? What do you think about Bitcoin Cash? Was this the best of all possible outcomes?
Hi. I don't know. I think it was good. I wish it would have happened earlier. Actually, if you've been watching World Crypto Network, like I know I've seen all the past episodes where we've talked about, a lot of people have talked about, just go ahead and do it then. Everyone talk, I'm going to fork, then just do it. And people talk, oh, the freedom to fork and it's allowed, you shouldn't be so afraid. Okay, great, then do it. And it's just an example, fine. So just go on and do it. Now, as far as, do you hear me clearly now?
Now you sound better.
Okay, great. I just want to say, I wish it would have happened earlier. Is it the best? I don't only know in hindsight if it was the best, but I'm glad that something happened.
All right. Well, I think we could hear about half of what Theo said, and he says that it's not the best, but he's glad that something happened and that these people needed to put up or shut up, and that yeah, we'd had enough of talking about scaling. It was time to do something. Just like to thank VC in the chat. He sent us $20. He says he's addicted to the knowledge being spouted. Thanks, guys. And if Tone is there, I think we're going to head to the end of the show here. If Tone could push the stop broadcast button, we'll be on our way out here. But thanks so much to Richard Hart and Linus from Nova Exchange for joining us, and Theo and Jimmy and everyone else today. It's been really great. So let's see. There's probably no way to end this show, so we might just keep talking forever.
No, it's gonna go on forever. It's the show. It's like blockchain.
Well, I could try to pop out.
Simulation.
I don't know.
So who ends the channel or the show or whatever?
Oh, we need Tone to come back to end it. He says ping him, but I don't know how to ping him. So maybe we'll go into Slack and we'll ping Tone, or I'll pop in and pop out. But I'm looking at everybody's comments.
Everybody is happy about the ticker name, guys. It's not true. There's already conspiracy theories about it. So I've already seen. I kind of hate giving people attention in some ways, but whatever. We're all talking about Oliver Jensen's or whatever that guy. He was saying it's interesting that maximalists and big blockers are trying to rename it Bcash and BCH and not. So yeah, that means that, oh yeah, it's a conspiracy because they don't want to call it Bitcoin anything. But check this out. On Bitfinex, it's very ironic. On Bitfinex, pre-Bitcoin Cash, there was already a listing BCC. It's a futures product. And what does it stand for? Bitcoin Core. And there's also an altcoin, BCC, Bitcoin Connect. So it's just a matter, it's also the BCH thing is just a matter of being practical and not confusing people also. It's not about, there's that point of it. Of course, there's the political thing about, okay, is it Bitcoin? Do we want to use the word Bitcoin in it? But there's also just the practicality of it. But of course, there's already people that think there's a big conspiracy theory to rename it BCH for some reason. But crypto works, right? What would it be without all that kind of drama? And
would a garbage fire by any other name smell as bad? I think that's the Shakespearean quote.
I don't
right?
know. Just, if something happens, you can make a theory about it. Sure, there's no problem to that. I mean, whatever.
All
I don't
right.
know.
And
I think
All right,
that
guys.
looks like
we
we've
gonna
still
end,
got
Thomas?
1,300 live viewers, so we might be back later today with more updates. Otherwise, check us out tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll be back. Bye-bye.